Hey, everybody. Or I hope that you guys are well. I am trying to get this attorney. I think his name is Matthew Wilkes on. He did post something that looked like um, something that looks like a quote from Mark Twain back in the past or something like that. And I just wanted to come on for a little bit and have a discussion, guys. If you are in Michigan or any other state, you definitely want to hear this short space if the guy doesn't come. But I am inviting this brilliant man who is an attorney in Michigan. I guess he was on a show on with a guy who doesn't do very well in Michigan when it comes to what he's attempting to do with uh, destroying the movement. But this attorney, he's a real estate attorney. I think his name is Matthew Wilk, Wilk. I offered for him to come live because he had an issue and said I was practicing law without a license. First of all, I'm not practicing. I'm a bad mama jamma with the law by God. Also, I want him to come and speak peacefully. Um, it seems he's a little fearful, though. I'm going to post in the comment section what this gentleman said. Now, what's deep is he had no problem mentioning about me yesterday on a video with the failure. His name is Scott McMahon. It's hard to even remember his name. Dude who came out of nowhere making claims about people, but this gentleman, Matthew Wilk, it seems like he doesn't want to come live and play ball and just have a little discussion. I'm literally yearning for this gentleman to come in and play with us. And we could discuss the law like men. Now, what I would do, guys, if he's courageous enough to come in here, I'm telling you guys, he will say that I practice law without a license, and then I will embarrass him using the highest law in his state. Um, he he is making a claim and saying some things when he doesn't understand the law. He's already lost his own argument just by saying what he said. It proves he doesn't have a good knowledge of any real law, you know. But I'm offering for this guy to come on. You guys notice real quickly when you offer for somebody to come and show their knowledge and wisdom, what ends up happening is they start saying things like, "I'm not going to go down to your level." It's like, wait, you started talking first. I didn't say anything to you. I don't know you. Um, but just come live and let's get that action in. You know? Um,
Hey, Dave.
yes, sir.
Hey, I got the message that you were having like connection issues or not or something. So let's hope let it stays up. But I also invited the attorney Dill Gatz,
Hmm.
Dillgatz, who has
Hmm.
been, you know, uh, cowardly and not coming out to the front. So if your attorney doesn't show up, I offered this other attorney who says he wants to come live to come talk to you.
Well, it's
So
5 o'clock. It's
he's
5 o'clock Eastern time. Do you know what state he's in?
Well, he said he's down around Texas, the liberal Austin area is what he said. But he said he would come live, and he was tweeting a minute ago. And I've twice directly tweeted him this link to this space. And you guys go ahead and share the space and retweet it. There he is. I will step aside. Let's bring up Marty Gatz. And that way you can just talk to Dave once Marty connects. And
Can you guys hear me?
Marty,
Yes,
uh,
sir. How are
yeah,
you?
I'm gonna give you over to my teacher Dave, and that way I'm out of the picture, and I'll keep my mouth shut, and that way you don't have to worry about anything going back and forth, because Dave taught me, and he knows a lot more than I do.
Sure.
So anything I would say, he knows way better. But I'll keep my mouth shut, and you can speak to Dave.
Okay.
Hey, so how's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. Definitely good to see you come on. There was some attorney from Michigan that sent a message to me or no, he said something yesterday regarding, myself and some other people.
Yeah.
And I asked him to come on live, and he started saying things like, "I won't stoop to people's level," which I think is really cowardly. If you will say something, uh, you should stand on it. But it's
I
good to
agree.
have you on. And I'm thankful. Now you are an attorney as well, though, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. So I think you messaged back earlier. Um, I think you messaged back earlier saying that you were trying to look to figure out what it is that we believe.
Correct. Yeah. That's why I wanted to discuss with you all in the first place, is I don't really know that I understand what you guys believe. So when I think a debate was offered, I'm not sure that I can debate because I'm not sure what your position is, if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Gotcha. Okay. So pretty much our position is that we the people have all political power. We wrote and we created constitution starting in the beginning with the first colonies when there was no such thing of a bar association. There was no formal group that you had to be part of in order to create the state constitutions and then the federal. So then, therefore, it is not a necessity to know the law to be members of the bar or part of a law school. As a matter of fact, I would say that every day in America, people are prosecuted because ignorance of the law is no excuse. So
Right.
when
Yeah.
people are prosecuted, people will say, you know the law, you should know the law, you should know better. But then there's many times where people would come with a false belief that you have to be a bar association member to know the law or even stand for rights. So that's pretty much where we come from.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I don't think that you need to be a lawyer to know the law. It's
Yeah.
definitely learnable. You can learn it without. Law school is in a lot of ways a scam. It's
Hmm.
overpriced and doesn't really prepare you to practice law the way it should. And it's definitely learnable. You can get licensed without even going to a law school. It's possible to do.
I think
Um,
they leave. I think they leave out stuff too.
the law schools?
Heck yeah, like in a
Oh yeah,
bad
I'm sure
way.
they do. What
I
what
mean,
what are you thinking? What do you mean
think
by
they
that?
left
What do you
out.
think they're leaving out?
So, for instance, like right now, there's a lot of people who've been arrested and punished for crimes with the ATF and quasi judicial tribunals that are legislative, that's not really courts.
Uh huh.
And right now in the Supreme Court, you can see the Bruin decision, lower courts, you can see the Range case and the different cases where high level attorneys are now struggling because they can't understand why the Supreme Court is saying that Chevron deference and other doctrines that attorneys were using and bureaucrats were not lawful. And so the Supreme Court has completely shut them out. They have been having a hard time getting victories. Many scholars are writing reviews and reports now saying that the Supreme Court flipped and that the bureaucrats are having a hard time winning any cases. Any cases. So
Uh huh.
I would say that
That's
the
great news,
reason
actually.
is very good news.
Yeah.
I can tell you why it happened. What ended up happening was is that people started finding out the fundamental law that has been hidden from Americans and the law schools, and started submitting documents to the Supreme Court, not as cases, but more so as was done in the old time with address, remonstrance, petition, etc., and instructed the Supreme Court and the federal legislature to come out and start talking about these things. And it was also done in the states. And so now we have politicians all across the country, as well as in the federal, coming out and speaking up about the fact that the government was allowing agencies and different entities to hold authority that nobody granted to them. And
Uh
Thomas Massey brought it out the other day. He said there's been legislative tribunals that are not using actual judges, not making real judgments, and the legislature has allowed for entities to carry out judicial authority when the legislative had no judicial authority to grant.
yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of cases are going to get turned over, but to understand the implications of that, there have been high level attorneys who have for decades been arresting people and prosecuting people over things that they had no authority to arrest them over.
You said high level attorneys have been doing that?
Yes, yes, because the same high level attorneys are in the Supreme Court right now and can't figure out why they're losing. They're literally saying, I don't understand why the judge won't let us use Chevron deference. I don't understand this historical analysis of what the plain English text of the Constitution said. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
seen
and
that?
that's because the court's sort of conservative right now.
Well, just look at what happened with the 9-0 decision over being able to sue government and being able to sue agencies. Even with the
What
conservative court,
decision? What
there's no
decision is that? Because I'm not familiar with
I can't
that
remember the
decision.
exact name. I'll get somebody to post it in the comments, but it's
Okay.
just recent. The Supreme Court came out 9-0, showing that there was no immunity for agencies who are attacking the people. Um, they could be sued. And then the other one was that the Supreme Court can, I'm sorry, the court can be sued. I'm sorry. First one was
No
administrative
immunity
actors can be
for.
sued. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
no probable, not probable,
Yeah.
no immunity for agencies or government when
Right.
they're breaking the law, pretty much. Um, and somebody's dropping it now. USDA versus Kurtz, I think it might be. So
Okay.
these cases,
Yeah, it's the Kurtz
yeah,
decision. Kirtz.
TZ,
Kurtz.
yeah.
Okay.
So these cases have always it has always been the law, but the problem is that it was hidden from the people and attorneys. So it was taught wrong to the attorneys and it was hidden from the people. Once the people got knowledge of it and started ordering the Supreme Court to declare that there was a difference between being immune for a situation where you're using judicial courts with a judicial process with jurisdiction that's real, and
Mm-hmm.
then tribunals that are legislative tribunals where government will actually move something into an agency with no granted power, and the agency would then come take your right or power. The people started giving notice of that, and the Supreme Court started literally just letting it out starting on November 7th, 2022, with Gorsuch. He came out
Mm-hmm.
and said that that we like to say that we use impartial courts in America, but the truth is that we've been putting our fingers on the scales of justice on behalf of the federal, and pretty much trampling people's rights. So
Yeah.
so it's out there now, but the people had to study and learn first. Once we started talking about it and giving notice, the Supreme Court effectively flipped and turned, and they're addressing every single issue we give to them.
So
Every single
here's
issue.
where I think our disagreement is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that the only difference between now and then is that you have justices that are willing to listen to those arguments. If you had a court full of Ruth Bader Ginsburgs, they're not going to listen to that argument. They're
So
going to,
so are there people in the court now that are liberal?
on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Kagan, what's her name?
so
The
how
new
are
one.
how are the people winning 9-0 over and over then?
I don't know which. I mean, you mentioned that one case. I don't know the details of that case, so I would have to read the
We could put them in
opinions.
the we could put them in the comments. But so let me ask you, just so I understand, if you know. So what, when you were in law school, what would you say the first important case was that they started teaching you guys,
The first important case.
or the
I mean,
oldest?
like in which. I mean, so the way law school is, you have property law, constitutional law,
Let me go
torts.
back. I should ask this: are you a constitutional attorney?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So let me ask you. So, because this is super important for what we deal with. So when you deal with law, let's say in the states, right, and you
Yeah.
view what it is that you're going to deal with when it comes to, fighting any issues of rights, life, liberty in the state, um, what would you say is the most important law to use if you're going to be fighting in the state?
The most important law. I mean, it depends on if it's criminal or civil. If it's civil, it's going to be common law, depending on what type of civil case it is. And if it's If it's a criminal, it's going to be the penal code. But that's a kind of a broad question. It just depends
So let
on
me
what.
ask you this way. Let me ask you this way. So when it comes to for any man or woman to guard their rights or property, right? What instrument would be used in the state as the most important to deal um, with any type of action? Like what governs what can be done in the state?
The state common law or
Okay,
or
so
statutory or statutory law, depending on if a statute has been passed that addresses the specific situation.
so would there be any law that comes before the state statute?
State constitution.
Gotcha. Okay, so if state constitution would be before the state statute, um, in law school, did they teach you state constitution?
No,
Okay, and you said you're not a constitutional attorney, right?
no, not at all. Not even
Okay,
close.
so let me ask you. So if the state constitution is the fundamental law of the state, is higher than the statute, it is the fundamental law that all are to agree upon in the state. How would an attorney effectively protect the rights of the people guaranteed in the state constitution if all attorneys are not constitutional?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I guess, are you saying like if there's an unjust law that's passed that violates the Constitution, or you feel violates it,
Now I
based
feel
on
because you mentioned about states, you mentioned common law, then you mentioned state statute if it deals with the issue. But if
right?
all the attorneys are not educated in the state constitution, which is the fundamental law, which grants authority to make the lower statutory laws, if they're not educated in it, how could they ever protect any one of the people when it comes to the rights that are in the state constitution, being that they're not taught the state constitution?
Well, I think the ones who are practicing in that area of law, generally, they're going to have more expertise on the state constitution. I mean, it just depends on which field you go into.
So let me
If you
ask you,
go,
so which part of law in a state is not bound by the state constitution?
I mean, all of it, but the state constitution, for instance, on what I do, is not going to come into play. I mean, I'm dealing with insurance companies. That is, there's really, you're never going to have an issue pop up that implicates the state constitution.
So let me ask you, could an insurance company interfere with the right of one of the people by doing something that would be against the fundamental law of the state?
I mean, I guess they could violate a civil right or something. I'm trying to think of
So let me ask you,
a hypothetical.
let's say if the insurance company said, um, let's say if they said you have to, let's say if they say you can, let's say if all the insurance companies got together and said the only way that you can have insurance in this state is if you agree that you cannot use your right to trial by jury in a court of record.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's allowed or not. That would probably be something that would be challenged, and then you would go on what the court decided.
So let me go before that then. So would you say that it's true that the laws and the constitutions precede the judiciary? Because if you have to wait for the judiciary to decide how many people are going to be harmed
Well,
before somebody realizes to challenge it.
the judiciary's job is to say what law is, so they're co-equal with um, the framers of the Constitution, and so
Okay, so
it's
wait,
their
wait, you got
job
to
to
go back. You
interpret
got to
the
go back and
Constitution.
explain that. Please explain what you
Sure,
mean when you say
sure.
the framers of the Constitution. Who would that be?
Whoever wrote it.
Okay, so the people wrote it then, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the citizens usually of the state.
Well, it can't be the citizens of the state yet because you have to write the Constitution first before there could be citizens that agree to
Okay,
be
sure, sure.
part of the state. Okay, so then if you write state constitutions as the people, how could the judges who you granting authority to be co-equals?
That's just the way that the system is set up.
I want you to think about it again. I want you to think about what I'm saying. If I have to create your office and seat, are we co-equal or are you a servant that's below me?
Say that again?
So if I have to create your offices and seats, so in other words, your offices and seats don't exist because
Right.
before any people write a state constitution, we the people have to come together and exercise our right to create the constitution, right?
Uh-huh.
And if we exercise our right to create the constitution, that means that we're using our powers to grant powers to others.
Yes.
Now, when we open up the seat and the office called the judiciary, or the seats of the judiciary, the seats of the legislature, the seats of the executive branch.
Sure.
Could it ever be possible that the derivative power could be greater or equal to the power that created it?
Sure, it could, but the comes down to how would you exercise that power?
Wait. How could it ever be equal? If you have to
No,
create
no.
something,
I'm saying that the people who made it, the framers, could have more power than the agencies they created.
well, they always
That's
have more power. That's fundamental in law.
it's
It
supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be,
Well,
certainly.
just because people usurp authority and start doing things differently doesn't mean the power ever changed. It just meant that maybe somebody was ignorant of the power or they didn't know, but never does it change the native inherent power. So it's kind of
See,
like
I
if
don't
God
know if I don't know if I agree with that. I think the system is what it does, and if the system
Mhm.
violates its founding document, it's not supposed to do that. But
Then that
until
would mean
someone
is
stops it,
wouldn't that mean is isn't that how you dissolve your own power? If you look at John Locke's work, Two Treatises of Government, he's a forefather of law. If you go to section 211 through 220 of his Two Treatises of Government, it'll tell you clearly when the government starts to not follow the fundamental law, they dissolve their own power. That's in the dissolution of government section.
okay. And what would be the effect of that?
So let me ask you, what state are you in?
Texas.
Texas. What does Texas say you can do as the people if that happens in your
I don't
state
know.
constitution?
I don't know.
Gotcha. So in your state constitution, it actually tells us what the people can do at any time that the government doesn't follow the law.
Right. Okay. And what is that?
It is super clear. Okay. Would you want to open it up so we can look at it together, just so you know, so everybody knows you're reading this and it's not me. If you go on Ballotpedia, you open up the state constitution of Texas. So Ballotpedia just makes it easy and simple, and it's easy for everybody to be on the same page and see the same thing at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
So Texas Constitution, you just pull up Ballotpedia. Um, if you click in your Bill of Rights, it's going to be uh,
I think I
section
got it.
section 2 of your Bill of Rights.
Actually, now I'm on Arizona. Hold on.
Oh, Arizona's is good too.
Yeah. Hold on.
And if you could, just so we could see what the framer said, if you could read it out loud to us, that'd be good, just so everybody hears you say it, not me, and we're on the same page. And you know I didn't write it.
And what? Okay. What section is this again?
Section 2 of the Bill of Rights in your state.
Article 2.
Let's see.
I'm looking at here.
It's going to be the second division of the Bill of Rights. So let me see
Oh, I
what
see
it
what you're
is in your
saying.
state. Yep, section 2.
Section 2. All political powers inherent in the people and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit. The faith of the people of Texas stands pledged to the preservation of a republican form of government and subject to this limitation only. They have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, abolish their government in such manner as they think expedient.
So I'm sure you understand contracts since you deal in insurance, right?
Sort of. I don't really do contract law. I do
Gotcha.
mostly towards negligence, stuff like that, property
Well,
damage.
torts is good because that would be a wrong or a harm. So that's good. So
Sure.
let's say if the government officers swear that they're going to uphold the Constitution of the state and they would never go against it. And they got hired under the idea that they would perform and not go against the Constitution of the state. The contract that they signed, called the state constitution, says that the people have a right to reform, alter, or abolish the whole government of the state at will in the way they think proper. So, with that being said, what would you say the people's power or right is if the government is out of control, don't want to do what the people say? What would you say, based on what you just read, the people have the power to do?
I don't know what practical action you can take, and I think that's part of the problem our country faces. Is there's people don't. I think if you try to do what that article says you're allowed to do, the government will arrest you.
Okay,
And
we might need to wait for a second because we might need to pause and go back. So, can we first acknowledge what the rights are of the people in the state? Because the thing is I asked you if you knew what we have the power to do. Now, I hear this from attorneys a lot. The first thing that an attorney will often say is, "Well, what's the mechanism you're going to do it? Because the government has the biggest guns now." But in
right,
what
and
I'm seeing in the Supreme Court, that the ATF got a lot of guns, but that doesn't mean anything in the Supreme Court. They're losing every day. When it came to the lockdowns all across the country and people had big guns and they came to businesses and said you had to close, we just used the law and then we saw the government back down. So in the real world, I've never seen where the
in
government
some
says
instances, not always though. I mean, and
no
look
in
at New
every
Jersey.
instance.
They didn't honor
Thank
any
you
of
for
the
saying
rights of the business
that's not
owners.
true. I can show you people giving testimony when I turned them into private associations. I went against prosecuting attorneys in New Jersey, California, Arizona, and on Indian tribal land, and won every single time in hundreds of situations.
Okay, well, let me
And
ask you,
and, and they
what
give
did you
testimony.
do?
I just opened up private associations and I showed the government officials the law and the state constitutions that nobody taught them. And when they saw the law and realized we knew what we were doing and they didn't, they killed every single case across the country, bar none.
Wow.
Every time. I'm known as the leading PMA creator in America. And I can, without even going back in history to show you video, I mean to make a video, I'm sorry, without trying to make a video now, I can go get video from history in New Jersey right now and share it with you and you can see where I created the first PMA in New Jersey, went against the government there, and a guy got more rich during the time I created PMAs for him than he's ever been in his life.
And explain what are PMAs?
It's the same thing as the Bar Association, Private Membership Association.
Okay, and
It just
it's
separates the realm that the government is acting. And I'll give an example. When Bar Association members get in trouble, often they'll say, disbar them and prosecute them. The reason they say disbar them and prosecute them is because they know that the government doesn't control the inner workings of the Bar Association. Why? Because it's private and
right.
governments are public. So the government in a republic is given power to deal with those things that are in the public. They're not given power to deal with the private realm. So this is why you can't say, uh, government says you can't have sex with your wife in the house on Wednesday. Can't do it. They can't
Right,
tell you
it's a
what you're going to
violation of
eat.
the Constitution.
There you go. So when you have a private association, the whole realm is private. Government has power over the public things. As soon as you lock it off from the public, government loses jurisdiction immediately.
That's not true. The Civil Rights Act, I mean, that applies to.
Okay, I can prove to you with the Civil Rights Act and the UNRRA civil rights laws with in not NAACP with the 2000 case is going to be uh, Dale versus Boy Scouts of America. They fired him for being gay. They should get in trouble, right?
Yeah, this is a law
Civil rights law.
school case. Yeah.
Yeah, and they lost.
Which party
You're
lost?
the PMA won. You can fire people for being gay in a PMA, and the government has no control over it.
Right, but generally these opinions are going to be limited in some way.
Yeah,
And
to
so
the
I
private.
mean, without reading the opinion, I can't really say one way or another
Well,
what
you can
the.
look it up. That you're going to find private is going to tell you private association rights. You can look up 1948 NAACP versus Georgia. Black people, they didn't want them to do business in the state. An all-white Supreme Court gave the victory to the NAACP. This is
So
stuff that.
let me ask you a question
Mhm,
about this,
mhm,
because I think you've worked on this stuff more than I have. Obviously, I don't operate in this area.
mhm,
Um, my question is, what do you say when, I mean, like a state like California
mhm.
that
Oh,
has almost unlimited regulation on businesses?
I won in
Um,
California too. I did all the self-made entities and defeated government in every one of those cases as well.
but
And
there are still regulations that exist that uh, control private entities. I mean, private entities are
no,
still
what
subject to
we
civil
it's
rights
not.
law.
It's not. We went against them in California already.
So then why?
They tried to do a TRO on one of my entities, and we totally ignored the TRO. Showed the judge the law, and we told them, watch, within 30 days they'll kill the whole thing and walk away. And that's exactly what the freak they did.
So you're saying that none of the private corporations in California
Is so there's a
are
difference
subject
between
to the regulations of the government?
so there's a difference between a private corporation and a private membership association. A corporation isn't private, a corporation is open to the public. And
That's
because
not always the case.
okay, a corporation is not open to the public. So a
No,
LLC S
well,
corp and C corp.
a public one that's on like the stock market, that's a public
Okay,
corporation.
I'll
But
make
like
it easy. I'll make it easy for you. Who created the state constitution?
whoever the framers are.
The people. It says in there, we the people. The people wrote
Sure.
it. Okay. So we the people write the state constitution and create a legislature, or we create a corporation commission, right?
Sure.
Okay. So when a legislature or a corporation commission use power, they're agents of the people, right?
I guess.
Okay. So you're saying that the government officers, are they not trustees and agents and substitutes of the people?
I don't know that I would say that they're trustees. I don't. I that
Okay.
not because I'm
So
saying you're wrong, but it's because I
so
don't
would you like me
do
to
this
send you
area of law.
would you like me to send you to a constitution and prove it? Because that's what I believe in. I believe in when you say something, you prove it. So if you got your ballotpedia open, please go to the Virginia Constitution, one of the first state Bill of Rights, one of the first constitutions. Let's look at the Virginia Constitution and look at the Bill of Rights, and let's see if I'm telling the truth out of fairness to
I,
you.
it's okay. I'll take your word for it.
No,
I
don't
don't
take
have it
my
open.
word. That's cheating.
Uh,
Taking my word is
no,
cheating.
I'm sure that you've read that thing, and I'm sure that there's trust in there somewhere. So it's
Well,
okay.
no,
I
no,
don't
no.
have
Because
the
see, if
ballot
I
video.
well, you just
Or
open
you
it
can read it
on
to
your
me.
other
It's
thing,
fine
right?
with me.
No, because if I read it, it look like I'm cheating, and I don't want anybody to think I'm making
I
this
don't
up.
care. I don't think you're cheating. You can read it.
If you read it, and you're an attorney, people are going to trust that you're not going to lie for me. You see what I'm saying? So
All
it
right.
makes it
What
so
is it?
much better.
Virginia
And
what?
Virginia Constitution, Bill of Rights. So if you look up Ballotpedia, Virginia Constitution, and then if you go to their Bill of Rights, Section 2, and if you read it out loud for us, we can all hear.
I'm still trying to find it. Hold on.
Ballotpedia is going to be the easiest one if you use that one.
Yeah, I'm on it. All right.
Hey, while he's looking that up, everybody go ahead and share the space. Please invite people to come share the space. Thanks much.
Also, I'd like to talk about the Jared thing. I'd like to learn more about what you're saying about the affidavits and how you can get out of a contract.
How you get out of a contract?
Yeah, because I think that originally I
We can hit that. We can
responded
hit
to
that next.
Jaron saying something about an affidavit and getting out of a contract, and that was the one where I was like, "Well, I don't know what any of that means." What you're saying?
Yeah, it could sound crazy, but I'll go. We after we read this to these two things, I'll go to the law with you, and we can look at that as well. And I'll show you simply what it is. You'll know it already, actually, if well, if you studied anything with contract or even basic contract, you're going to know it right away when I bring it up.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Every law school student has to take a contract law course.
Good, good. So this is going to be easy then.
All right, section 2.
Yep, Bill of Rights, section 2.
I don't know if this is working. It keeps taking me to West Virginia, not Virginia.
Oh no, yeah. If it's Ballotpedia, you got to go to Virginia. You're going to click. I think it's section 2 there, Bill of Rights. It might be section 1. If
Yeah,
you
I'm
want, I'll
trying
send
to
you a
get
link.
it. I'm clicking Virginia. It's just pulling up West Virginia. Hold on.
Let me see. And
Let's see
that
if
is
this gets it.
Ballotpedia.
Yeah, okay, I think I have Virginia now. All right.
Okay. And then it should be Bill of Rights, section
Section
2.
2.
Yes, sir.
That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. The magistrates are their trustees and servants and at all times amenable to them.
Okay. So did it say the magistrates, or did it
That
say the or all?
magistrates.
Okay, that. Okay. That magistrates.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. Go
No,
ahead.
that's it. That's it. That's all it says.
So it says
I
that
think
magistrates are what?
are their trustees and servants and at all times amenable to them.
Okay.
Wouldn't
So
that be nice?
yeah. Well, it depends on if you know it or not. It's easy to make them not amenable when nobody knows. It's
Okay,
not
so
until.
let me ask.
Go
So,
ahead.
are you saying you just show this to them and they say, "Oh my gosh, I I have to follow this now"? Like
Well,
they're
let me ask you this way, because it's going to be easy for you to see if I give it to you the way that it would be presented. So let's say if you're working in government, right? And just like I just asked you if you knew the state constitution, you said no. If if somebody is not giving you full disclosure of what's written in your contract, right? But then you go open up the contract and you realize, holy crap, it said all this stuff in here that I didn't know.
hmm
If you're just the average everyday good person, would you try to fight and not do what the law says? Or would you say, oops, I see now, let me try to get this straight?
No, you would fight it and say like this was not represented to me when I signed the contract, and so it's not. I mean, that's how
Oh,
you would fight it.
is it
If
possible? Is it
but it
though?
has
Because
to
so
be. But it's not just that though. It has to be like, and I'm forgetting the word because
you're saying
I
full
don't.
disclosure. If you're not giving full disclosure, you're not bound, right?
No, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, the word is full disclosure. If it wasn't given to you, that's the term you just said.
Well, it
It
depends
wasn't
on
this.
if it's and there's a specific word for it in contract. If it's like if had you known it, you would not have signed the contract. So if it's something small,
Like unconscionable or unconscionable contract, that you no way that you could make this decision to get into this if you knew that it was that serious?
well, unconscionability is its own way of. So like you can assert that in addition to not knowing what
Yes,
was
so
in the
full
contract.
disclosure is one. Not
But it's
not
not. It's not called full disclosure. It's
no,
if it's
it's full disclosure.
material
It's
to the
disclosure.
contract.
It's disclosure. If you're not given disclosure of what's going on in an agreement between somebody, they're holding back information from you that would possibly lead to you making a different decision, that can
Correct.
affect them in
That's
court.
right. If you would not have signed, generally this is what the rule is.
Yes,
All states are
yes.
different, but
That's what I was going to
generally, if
take you
you
to next. Actually, you got to have a meeting of the minds. You have to be given the proper
consideration.
information to make a decision, consideration, agreement, acceptance, etc. Right?
Yep.
So if somebody doesn't do that, which in most situations when it comes to law and contracts, when people are getting over on your constitutional rights, they fail to disclose. So that's how we deal with situations where if you're in a contract, like with the gentleman that Jared was talking about, and somebody failed to disclose information
hmm
that would make you not sign the contract, you actually just gave part of the argument yourself. That's exactly how you do it.
Right. That's how you fight a contract. No guarantee that you win. And
Well,
I've definitely seen losses. I have a
it depends on
case
how you
right
do it.
now that's like that, and so it's
Well, it depends on how you do it if you're going to win or not. So in most situations, the opposite side may lack some information and understanding when it comes to law that would help them to win. And so we win in a lot of situations just because we use an affidavit and we serve it on the other party, which sounds crazy to most people who are in law today because they don't know this is part of the law. And so what we
And do
do
you have
is,
examples of this? I mean, I would love to see examples of this
yeah,
just being so straightforward
I
that
did it,
that people back down and say, "Oh, you're right, you win."
yeah, I did it with PMAs all over the country. I'll let them give you the testimony. I'll give you the videos where they're talking.
I would like to see the video.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do
That's
that.
And I'll yeah, if I can, and I could get you offline, but I mean, I wrote one for a guy who was going to get kicked out of his house a month ago. He sent an affidavit, and the judge was like, "Holy crap! Okay, drop the case. He's still in his house."
what did the
So,
affidavit
I mean,
say?
this happens. Well, I mean, the affidavit was basically like, that's that's why I direct people to learn from Dave, because the way that we learn is the fundamentals and not by process, rule, or procedure. So when we write affidavits, they're precise and they only use fundamentals. They don't use any rules or court proceedings or anything like that. And that's why we win, because we use the law.
Well, hey, if you're winning, good for you guys.
Yeah, the
I
the
mean,
thing is that most people
it's
aren't going to they're not going to be able to fight in this area of law because they didn't get taught it. Which, if they got taught it, they would be some bad mamma jammas. Like, if you get good attorneys that love the people, love doing right, and they learned, they knew this, it would be hell to pay. But you might get in trouble because the bar association ain't gonna be happy about you winning cases and destroying big clients. Is not gonna be a pretty thing.
well,
They're
that's
gonna.
your that's your whole job as an attorney. I don't agree with that. That's what your job is
Well,
to
I
do
can
is
tell
to
you,
win.
I dealt with the elections of 2020, and I saw attorney after attorney get threatened for
Well, the
speaking up.
elections of 2020, that's a whole can of worms and a
Well,
lot of funny business
to
going on there.
address to address the issue that started this whole thing, whenever I volunteered to help Jared, it was because of the things that he was saying. He was saying he wasn't told XYZ. I mean, I haven't seen the contract. I don't
Sure.
know all the differences and the nuances, but I know that because I know the law and I know what I know that he can serve affidavit, and when the other side doesn't respond, he's going to
Hey,
win.
Marty,
And I
I don't know
Sure,
know
how
because
to.
that.
that's evidence. That's evidence, and if the other side doesn't respond, then they have no evidence. But a lot of times, like in the state of Texas, if it's a contract, they only look at the four corners of the documents, and they don't even consider anything else. Um,
That's not the case.
that is the case.
No, it's not the case. If the law, okay, so let me help you with this really simple. If the law was, let me make this real easy. Are you telling me that a contract is a contract just because it says so, or is there other factors that have to happen for a contract to be legal in itself?
Sure, you have all the elements. I think it's seven
Yeah, so
elements
you
of the
got like eight
contract.
elements of a contract, right? And if you break the law in any one, is that contract nullified or does it get to perform because there's just a piece of paper with signatures on it?
Can you say that again?
So if the eight items that make a contract are not there and somebody broke the law, committed a fraud, committed a crime, left out
Sure,
information,
sure, yeah.
took advantage, does the contract stand as the law just because it's there, or is
No,
there
not if you have
issues
a
that can?
defense to the contract, to there not being a contract.
Gotcha. So the
Um,
contract could be null and void based on going against the law. So if an affidavit swears that somebody went against the law to make a contract and the other side fails to respond, they make a case against themselves on its face just because they didn't rebut the claims that were in the affidavit. So when a court
sure,
sees an
but the
affidavit,
affidavit has to address those very
yeah,
specific
yes,
defenses. It can't
yes.
address anything else.
Amen. That's what we do. We don't do anything but fight in the exact law. So we already know what the law is. We already know how to win. We already know what other people have to do. And we know that the other side is very lax, usually, on the things they do because nobody's been enforcing or bringing up the law. So they'll just go go to court and say, well, we got a contract. And I'm like, you better, what else did you get? Right? Tell the judge about this affidavit you got that you didn't respond to. Right? Tell the judge what was argued in the affidavit, and tell the judge what the courts say must happen with the affidavit if it's unrebutted by the other side. Right? Now they're going to have
That's
to.
if a lawsuit is filed. If you don't respond to an affidavit and there's no lawsuit, there's no mechanism of overturning unless one of the parties agrees to release you. So
Well,
you first have to
the
file a lawsuit. That's a precondition to any
no,
of
it's not.
this.
It's not. An affidavit stands as truth on its face. Without, I'll give you an example. If
Okay,
if
but a
somebody,
judge isn't just going to say, "Hey, oh, I see this affidavit here. It's not connected to any case or any cause number, but yeah, sure, it's overturned." There, what
well,
you have to plead to the jurisdiction first.
the affidavit stands as true without going to court.
You're losing me. This
Okay,
that
the maximum, the courts will tell you that an affidavit, uncontroverted, must be accepted as true. So before it even comes to court, it's already accepted as truth. The matter,
uh,
there's no controversy.
yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but
I can give you
I mean
court
something
cases to
like
show
that.
you if you
I
want me
would like
to.
for you to cite. I mean
Oh yeah,
a
I can
law.
just give you a sheet that I did for Trump's people with the court cases on there. It's already done. It's this ain't stuff that I got to go dig for. I did it
But
already.
okay, so this is a great example, the Trump stuff from
Hmm.
2020. If and I'm probably in agreement with you all that the election was it was a strange election. It's the strangest election I've ever seen.
Maladministered is the term.
Sure,
Maladministered.
yeah,
Hey,
whatever you want to call that.
Hmm.
let your bias fly. I mean, we love Trump, but what we do is fundamental law. So we love Trump, and we think the election was stolen because it was, but it's maladministration because it didn't follow fundamental form. That's the issue.
Okay, so define those
Oh,
terms.
can I show you what maladministration is? So right where you were reading in section 2, can you just look at section 3 and it'll tell you about maladministration? I think you'll love this.
Government is or ought to be instituted in the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation.
Uh-oh, did we lose his mic? Uh-oh, we lost
Uh,
Marty's mic. You said people, nation, and then we lost your mic. Marty, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut off when you said people, nation. You're getting ready to say community. Can you read that part?
Yeah, sorry, I got a phone call, so it kind
Oh,
of
no
like
problem.
kicks me off. Uh, let's see, where was I?
People, nation, or community. You were about to say community.
People, nation, or community of all the various modes and forms of government that is best which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness, safety, and is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration, and whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to the purposes a majority of the community hath an indubitable, I don't even know what that means, inalienable and
Indubitable meaning it can't be questioned.
okay. Inalienable and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as shall be judged most conductive to the public weal.
So most conducive to the public will. So here's the deal. So
Wheel. It's
maladministration, yes, sir.
WEAL. I don't know.
So that means just
Old
like
talks.
to our good. So we can look and say, we don't like this junk. We just want to start over. That's what it pretty much means. Now, when you look at the word maladministration, it's a compound word, mal, which means bad or wrong, administration. So when the government is given authority to govern or do the work of the people based on what we write out in the constitutions, the government officials are bound by the same document to do it the way that the people said. If they should fail to do it the way that the people said, that is called maladministration or bad administration.
Sure.
So when the government is in maladministration or bad administration, they lose their power to control the business of the people. And at any time, the people can nullify it and start over. So
So why don't
maladministration,
they do it?
because it's been hidden. So just like you didn't,
Because we
yeah,
don't know.
because you didn't know what maladministration was, and you're a smart guy. Imagine the rest of the people in
Thank you. I
America who didn't
appreciate
go
it.
to law school. You see what I'm saying? Didn't go to
Yeah.
law school, didn't get training. They never learned the state constitution. So you would be in the upper echelon of learning. So the average American would never have known that this is in the states because nobody ever showed us. And the goal was by bad actors who wanted to make money off of the state was to hide that in education and to make people think that common law was policy. Uh,
So you guys are the only ones who know about this.
Pretty much, yeah. Like God allowed me to learn it, and I came out. I started teaching government. We started getting victories. That's how we got the Arizona audit. I taught Karen Fan how to use the law to be able to do it, and I give praise to God for it because I'm not smart enough to be able to learn to do this myself. I'm from Detroit. I'm from the
And
ghetto.
and Marty, this is why people like me go on those posts and offer help to people who are in danger or being oppressed or being destroyed by bad law. And then whenever we freely offer that help, sometimes they'll take us up on the offer and God gets the victory.
But what
I mean, like we're
what you're
so
saying in the case of Jared is you're saying, well, this was not. There's a part of the
yeah,
contract you
so
didn't
so
know
let's
about, but
let's let's return.
that's a very standard defense that any contract lawyer would
Well,
be able
but
to assert.
I think this is where Dave was about to explain, and I see Pilsner was on there. If you guys could do the cases that shows an unrebutted affidavit must be accepted as true, this is where we get into precision because if and again I don't know Jared Monroe, I don't know the contract he was signed to,
Yeah.
I don't know those details, right? So I don't know those things.
Right.
But based on his video, just based on that video, when he was saying there was something that was done that they never told me, that's not full disclosure. Now I know because I know if you don't have full disclosure, it's void. There's things that he could do by submitting affidavits, serving other parties, and if people don't respond, then that means they agree. When Dave teaches what he teaches, we learn how to write things that are so precise and airtight using only constitutional provision that there's no arguing with what we write. And most attorneys, and this is I say this with respect, most attorneys don't know the law. And so they see what we write and they say, that's stupid. There's nothing legal, there's no legal merit.
So are you saying you're
And they
You're
ignore it.
100% every time?
Well, it's not 100% every time because we don't go to court. A lot of times they just kill the situation and walk away. Sometimes
Yeah,
sometimes it takes longer.
and that was
Sometimes it might take longer. It
yeah,
just depends, you know.
yeah, and that
Hold
was
on, wait. Let me
and
say this.
that's what
Let me tell
happened.
you this. So we have thousands of situations we fought in, and we've won all the way across the country, from lockdowns to mandates to get. We've gotten paid from people who tried to shut us down, saying you can't work here without going to court. We've used affidavits to make them pay one of our guys 16,500. We got another lady. She got $75,000. She never went to court. They fired her. We got people's kids back. We got foreclosures
That's
killed.
great.
We got people giving. One person they tried. Some attorneys got together and they were trying to buy some houses in Arizona. And what they would do is they will work with the county. And I had a county guy tell me about this occurrence who he used to work in the county. Um, and he would see attorneys come together along with the officials and they would plan on how to take somebody's house. And I actually witnessed this guy pay cash to get somebody's house back that they were foreclosing on because the attorney group tried to steal the house. So the thing is that I saw them try to steal somebody's house, right? And so I
Hmm.
taught this gentleman how to use affidavits and how to trap them and what they were doing with the law. And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're gonna do it. They won't even let me make a payment. We got the house from my wife's mom who died, and we had everything set up right. And they're just ignoring us, so they could steal it. I said, okay. I said, send them this. So he sent them the affidavit, and it has specific points, arguments in it. You don't make a blanket affidavit that just says dumb stuff. You look at
Yeah,
the issue
yeah,
and you precisely aim at what they're doing wrong in the law at that time and hit it with that. So we did that, and they negated the amount of money that was owed. Now, I'm sorry, that was behind where they wouldn't listen and talk, and killed that part. Then a couple of days later, the whole mortgage washed away, just gone, and they kept the
hmm
house. So
well, that's
that,
great.
yeah, so it doesn't always happen exactly the same way. Like with kids, sometimes we've had fights where over kids it takes some months. Then we had sometimes where the government understands immediately what's happening. Boom, it's done. Like we had a Fed, the number one TSA guy in Arizona. He had a situation where they were trying to force him to get a vaccine. We found out later his heart was messed up, and
Yeah.
his blood was thickened, and he went into the hospital, but he never got the vaccine because he came to me and he's like, "Yo, I want to learn how to stop this because I don't want to get this shot. I'm a little nervous about it." So I said, "Okay." So I told him, I said, "Here, just join my private membership." I just told him, "Give me $1." So he gave me $1. And then I wrote the document for him. He gave it to the Fed. It went all the way up to the top. They were like, what's going on here?" It was like a big thing. Went all the way up to the top. They came back down and said, "Listen, you're already taken care of. You don't have to put in anything else. We understand what you're doing with the affidavit. You are exempted. It's good. You're straight." And he
Okay.
didn't have to get
You
it.
gotta be careful with that. I'm just telling you, with the charging. I mean, I know it's $1
It's a private
to do the
membership,
affidavit,
so it's a membership fee. No, it wasn't $1 to do
but
the
a
affidavit. It's $1 membership fee to join my
membership fee.
PMA.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yes. So if
But
you're
I'm
in the
saying,
PMA, it's the same thing you guys do. You guys have a private association as attorneys, and you have a membership fee you pay, and then you
okay, so
work with the
you're part of
government
like
to.
a,
I own.
because I'm not familiar with the PM. I've never
Yeah.
heard of
So
that
the
before.
member.
So,
So if you go look in the law, you're going to find that members of a entity can protect each other's rights and properties. They have all the powers sui juris that any man has. So if I'm a man and my kid has an issue and I help them write a document to take care of the issue, I can do that by law. If I'm selling commercial services for law, that's called being an attorney. That's different. So when he joins
correct.
my membership, he's a member of mine. Now I can protect my members from government overreach. So the whole idea that somebody's forcing you to do something with your private health in Arizona, you look up the Declaration of Rights, Section 8, it tells you that no person shall be disturbed in their private affairs, nor his home invaded without authority of law. So government understands you can't interfere with us in our private affairs. He's a private member of mine. I can help him to handle his business when somebody's attacking his rights. And that's what the NAACP cases proved as well in the 1940s.
Well, I mean, if you're having success doing this, I mean, that's great. I'm glad you're helping people. Um,
We got to, we got
and
to.
as
Like you
long
said,
as
you do for
as
people
long
at
as they're
church.
not going after you for unauthorized practice of law, then hey,
Well,
if it's working, then that's great.
unauthorized practice of law also is a hoax too, though.
Well, it's not a
And I
hoax
can
to the
explain
people
to you
who get
how.
charged with it.
Yes, so was the ATF cases.
What
And so
about
were the
the?
people who got arrested for PMAs as well.
Well, I'm
I'm
just
sorry, the
saying. I
people
mean,
who
if
got
you're,
arrested for keeping their gym open.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about that case earlier
Well,
when
let me
they.
ask you about this because I'll make it simple for you. When people talk about the practice of law, so who created the state constitutions?
Well, it would be. This is what we went over earlier.
The people, right?
Correct.
So we broke the law.
Well, no, the people delegate the power to they. Essentially, my understanding is the people give their power over to a government with their consent.
Whoa, that's good. So wait, so you're telling me we granted the power to government for government to do things,
Yes,
which means we have the power first?
we should. My
Got
contention is that we don't, and that's why the country is where it is right now.
So let me ask you a question. So if we gave government the power to tell the bar that they could handle cases, that would mean that the legislature is using our power to give you guys power to handle cases.
Yeah, I think if I'm following you right. Yeah.
Yeah, so the legislature couldn't give you guys anything that we didn't have, right?
Um, no, I
So
don't
no
think that's true.
No
Because you need to be
politics
like a
of.
licensed physician to be a physician.
Okay, so where did that come from?
Same thing, but you can't just walk into a doctor's office and say you're a doctor without a
Okay,
license.
can somebody do health stuff in the private?
Can somebody do what?
Health stuff in the private by contract? Let's make it better. Actually,
I don't know.
does
I
the
don't know
leg
what the rules are for physicians, and I know what the rules
does
are for
the
lawyers, but I don't know what it is for doctors.
okay? So in the private realm, so when you just look in your state, let me just make it super easy. So in your state constitutions, right? Do we the people have the power to do consultations over the law?
Do consultations?
Yeah, like the attorneys, when you go meet somebody and you do a consultation with them over the
Oh
law,
yeah, yeah.
can we do it too?
You're not allowed to give advice, legal advice.
You sure? You sure?
I mean, that's what the statute says. Yeah.
The statute, does that mean it's constitutional? Which one is the highest, the
Well,
Constitution
you
or the
have to
statute?
challenge it. I mean, you get charged with it. You're still charged with it.
You don't have to challenge it. We lay out the law first. You guys, as attorneys and judges and government officials, have to agree with the Constitution or not.
Okay, listen. Okay, I'm going to lay out a scenario. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so, just for example, say that unauthorized practice of law is a felony and it's subject to 20 years in prison. Okay.
You wait,
If
wait. You gotta go back though and explain to me, where does this statute get its
the
power so I can
the
understand.
legislature passed it and added it to the penal code
Okay, so let me ask you a question
in
then,
the
because
hypothetical.
we
Well,
need
let me
we
just
need we
finish.
need
Let
to.
me finish the
Well,
hypothetical
no,
so you can
because
see
if you
where
lay down
I'm
the
coming
steps of
from.
a if you
Uh,
lay down the steps of a scenario and you don't let me deal with the error of the steps in the scenario, then it looks like I agree with the scenario.
no, no, no. I'm
But
not
when
going to
you
ask
say,
you if you agree. I'm not going to. I'm just going to lay it out, and then you can pick it apart however you want. I'm not going to
okay,
say, "Oh,
go
you
ahead,
agree with this. You agree." I'm not going to
go
do
ahead.
that. I'm
Okay,
just saying. Okay, so I'm imagining the this is a fictional statute for, but
yes, sir.
there is a statute for unauthorized practice of law. I'm not sure if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, but say it's a felony and 20 years in prison, whatever.
Let's make it 100 years. Go
100
ahead.
years, perfect. Uh, if I'm not a lawyer and I
Uh
give
huh.
someone advice
Uh huh.
and they lose their case and that person turns around and complains that,
Uh
hey,
huh.
this guy, he's not a lawyer, he was giving me legal advice acting like he knew what he was doing,
Uh huh.
and they charge me and I'm in court and I lose in front of a jury and I'm sentenced to 100 years. It doesn't matter whether or not that was constitutional or not, because I'm
It
still
doesn't
sitting in a
matter.
jail cell. Do you see what I'm
So
saying?
so that almost sounds like if somebody's a rapist and you have the power to protect yourself from rape, but they rape you anyway, it doesn't matter because you lost because they raped you. That doesn't make sense.
No, I'm saying if you're sitting in a jail cell, you're still sitting in a jail cell and you lost.
So if a woman wore a skirt down the street and it's lawful to wear a skirt, but a man rapes her, is it her fault that she got raped?
No,
Because
I
if you
don't.
say something is constitutional, right? And I'll address this by using the law, like I always do. Michigan Constitution in itself will show you that the whole idea of this statute that's been written by attorneys, it ain't the legislature doing it. Attorneys are telling the legislature what to do. Attorneys are telling the legislature that they have the right to govern law, and they don't.
But they do. And I guess that's my
Do
point.
they?
Is yes, they do. I mean, why do people
So
get
what's
sentenced to
the
prison?
let's prove it. What's the fundamental law of the state?
The Constitution.
Gotcha. So can the legislature make a law that they said they would not make in the Constitution?
They
Can they
could. They
lawfully do that?
could theoretically. Yeah, they could.
Uh-huh. And that's why the ATF is losing today because smart people stood up
And
against them,
that's
right?
great. And I'm all for that.
Okay. And that's why OSHA lost too, right?
I'm all for overturning all of that stuff. That's great.
Okay. And that's why people are going to go to jail in the legislature and as attorneys, right?
Hopefully, the
Because they
people
broke the law.
violating the Constitution do at some point. I hope
Oh no, they will. So very soon they're going to go to jail. So
that'd be
so
great.
so let's look at this then. When we look at something, let's just say the Michigan Constitution, because I had an attorney from Michigan say I was practicing law without a license today. Does the Michigan Constitution say I have the right to consult and deal with law as much as I want to?
The Michigan Constitution gives the power to the legislature to create the statute that says you can't practice law, and then that's what they will charge you
Are
with.
you sure,
I'm
though? Are you
positive.
sure? Okay, can you open up the Michigan Constitution and we see there? Go to the Declaration of Rights. Let me ask you this. Have you ever read the Michigan Constitution?
No.
Okay, gotcha. So you don't know for sure how the law works with the law in Michigan, right?
That's generally how it works with the states and the government.
That's generally what people say the law does, but that's not necessarily what it says because nobody reads it.
Well, let me ask you,
So,
why are people sitting in prison then?
because you got attorneys who are wicked and evil doing the same thing they did in the ATF cases, the same thing they did in the OSHA cases, the same thing they did with locking down businesses, the same thing they did with taking kids in legislative tribunals that are not courts arresting people.
What about
But those
state
days are about to
courts?
end
What
really
about
soon.
state courts that
Same,
sentence them?
same exact thing. Same exact things. They're federal programs that they're working with state actors on making money off of the cases without giving full disclosure by stealing from the people. And they just got busted, and Thomas Massey just came out and did an excellent presentation about this where he's showing inside of his committee that the legislature of the federal and the states and the executive have been working together in a program in different various programs to rip the people off and steal their stuff without using real judges and didn't give full disclosure.
But the people are still sitting in a jail cell.
Yeah, and it's going to reverse, and the people who did it going to be sitting in a jail cell.
And I'm all for that. I hope that happens. I pray that the people who violate our constitution do face the consequences of that.
It's
My
very
only point in
clear.
this,
Hmm.
I'm not even arguing that you're wrong in all of the what you're saying. My only point is that these people, they still throw you in prison, and you're still, for the person who, you're saying their rights have been violated, right? Isn't that,
Hmm.
yeah? They're still sitting in a jail cell, even though even if they're correct. And it's not the correct thing that they're sitting in a jail cell, but they are. And for those people,
Well,
I mean,
a righteous person would just make sure they get out of the jail cell. Like you don't fix criminal activity by being weak or silent on criminal activity. So for anyone to sit down and say, "Oh my gosh, there's the potential that you could get hurt by standing up and telling the truth," that would just mean you're not a Christian and you don't understand what God said. So in the Bible, God clearly tells us to stand up for those who can't stand for themselves, the fatherless and the widows. The Bible tells you to speak up for the oppressed.
yeah,
The Bible tells you to take care of those who are in jail unlawfully. The Bible tells you that God will raise up people to go after people who cause mischief by a law. They make a fake law to attack people. This is why our forefathers created America. They said that the king and the parliament were creating pretended legislation. They were making things in statutes that can't even be legitimate based on the fundamental law.
yes.
And so this is how we got America. So for me, as someone who helps the people and actually wins and won in thousands of situations, I would rather have 5,000 bullets go through me than to be a coward and not fix bad things.
I'm not saying
And I
no. I'm
and
not saying that you shouldn't try to fix these things. That's not at all
Oh
what
no,
I'm
I don't
saying.
try. I do it. I do it. And the reason I do it is because I know what's right. And so, but the thing is, if I did not have an attitude to go at wickedness full speed ahead, we wouldn't have all these wins. But I want you to see what Michigan says about the people's power when it comes to the law in the Declaration of Rights. Can you pull that open in Ballotpedia so the people can hear it?
You want to do it?
No, because then they're gonna think I'm
I
making this up.
trust you,
It's
and I
Section
don't think
3.
that you're going to be
No,
making
don't
up
trust
moves.
me. Trusting people is bad. Trusting people is bad. Can you
Well,
read the
I
Declaration of
trust
Rights,
you.
Section 3?
How about that?
No, don't trust me. That's bad. Don't do that.
What about your
You can
the
only
people you're
trust
helping? They
God.
trust you.
They don't trust me.
No.
They get taught by me. Make my anus show everything. If I'm lying, tear my anus up. Don't believe what I say because I'm just a man. I'm a nothing, nobody man. God is everything. I'm a man. I could even make mistakes. So I ask for people to look at what the law says and we identify it. Because here's the thing, the only way we're going to grow in America and have the nation come back right is if we take the time to discuss things that are hard, that people might get upset about.
I agree.
If we explain it and talk to each other like we care about each other, God shows us, even in the Bible, that when people were doing bad, God himself said, look at the people, look at what they're doing. They're building a tower to heaven. And God says, look, the people is one. Nothing will be restrained from them that they imagine to do. So God knew even the wicked people, if they come together, they could do a whole lot of stuff without even God helping them. So when
Mhm.
we're righteous people who want good things, we don't want to be like them. We want to ask God for his permission, but we need to come together and be one in learning the truth if we're searching that, you know?
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
But do you see it? Do you see the Declaration of Rights, Section 3 in Michigan?
I haven't looked, but
Because
well,
I put the link in the purple pill so you can see it super easy. And
okay,
here's the thing.
perfect.
And Riley Flack also put the cases for the affidavit standing as true
Yeah, I see
in
that.
the chat bubble too that I gave to Trump's people. So super easy stuff that we can all find, you know, if we're looking. But in Michigan, it tells us what the people have the power to do. And this is one thing that government people and attorneys often don't know. We have a 100% guaranteed right to teach our government servants the law, period. And not just teach them the law, we got a duty to teach them the law, and we have the right, guaranteed, to instruct them and other people in the law, period. And the government swore we have it. So if you can look at Section 3, can you tell us out loud what Section 3 says?
Where did you send the link to?
It's in that purple pill thing because I can't send you a message.
Purple pill.
So I put it in the purple pill.
I see it. Okay.
And somebody else shared so you can see when we did affidavits and notices for the UAW workers in Michigan, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
and all those states, thousands of people, they also didn't have to get shots after that either. And there's a guy giving a testimony of it.
That's awesome, man. I think that's great that you're doing that for those people, and if that's working,
It's all
I think that's
it's
great.
all God, big dog. It's all God.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I think those shots are horrible.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, yeah, man. Whew.
So what did you want me to read on this?
So Section 3 of the Declaration of Rights. Now, the gentleman in Michigan is an attorney who said, I'm practicing law without a license. I'm not practicing. I have perfected almost law. I'm getting up there. I ain't perfect like God or nothing like that, but I'm saying I'm pretty good at what I do. And I'll take any state that wants to say that I'm practicing law without license. They could try if they want to, but I don't think they're going to like what's going to happen. But go ahead, Marty. Would you like to read Section 3?
The people have the right peaceably to assemble, to consult for the common good, to instruct their
Whoa, so
representatives.
they can consult for the common good. So consulting is what you do when you're dealing with law. That's their common
They
good.
can do
That's
that,
what we
yeah,
write.
apparently.
Yes, that's what we write the Constitution off of. The common good. So the whole Constitution, we had to assemble, come together, decide what we're going to write. But not only can we do that, we can also instruct the government in what they're supposed to do. Keep going, please.
For the common good, to instruct their representatives and to petition the government for redress and grievances.
So if we're going to redress grievances, that means we have to be able to use the law to know what's wrong. We can assemble, figure out what's wrong. We can instruct the government to fix it and tell them to give us redress without court.
Okay.
So that's in the law. So attorneys have been taught that if you talk about the law and you're not an attorney, or you give people advice, we can take you to jail.
Yes.
That's a hope.
Well, I don't know
See, if
about
we got
jail.
a
I don't
right
know
to
if
do
it's a
it,
misdemeanor or a felony. I really
no,
don't know.
a felony, 100 years, I don't give a frick what they
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
it is.
Sure.
If we have a guaranteed right in the state constitution, in every constitution, to assemble and to be able to handle our business in law and even be able to write new constitutions, the fundamental law, we ain't got, see, it don't say the attorneys have the right to create fundamental law. It says we do. So when an attorney thinks we're going to sue you for not being part of our club, you don't even have the power as an attorney, not you, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Attorneys don't have the power to rewrite constitutions. They have the power to serve people and be bound by the law that we create. We have the guaranteed authority to deal with the law without anybody's help or permission. So when an attorney,
Go ahead.
so when an attorney group says, "Oh, you're teaching the law out there, you're talking about the law," I talk about the law every day. I'm going to continue to do it, and I challenge anybody to say I'm breaking the law by using my power to speak about the law or to teach the people about the constitutions. You got to be crazy. Here's the thing: we have the right to reform the whole government and prosecute every attorney who charge anybody.
Well, hey,
We got a
if
right to
that
do that.
works for you, then again, if that works, then I'm not here to condemn you, you know?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying this is what is. Right now, we're winning all over the place. Right now, the Supreme Court is doing what we say. When we say, "Hey, Supreme Court, tell these attorneys that they don't have power over our courts. Tell them they can't use administrative tribunals. Tell them they can't do this." They do it every time. As a matter of fact, if you want me to, I'll find. You give me something to go after them for that makes sense. I'll go after them for that, and you'll see
Okay.
they'll say exactly what we
Well,
say.
let me ask you about, because the Trump stuff. I'm interested in this, the 2020 election.
Uh huh.
Arizona, why wasn't the result overturned?
Did you see what happened? That there was a full forensic audit.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, why did that happen?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I wrote the documents. I told people ahead of time I'm going to make them do an audit. I'm going to make the legislature come back to work. I'm going to teach Karen Fann. I taught Karen Fann, and we got a full forensic audit, and we have the evidence. The only reason it's not overturned yet is because it takes for the people of America to know what happened. So I opened the door for Michigan to get an audit. If you look at Matt DePerno, he turned in 10,000 affidavits. I wrote that affidavit way back in December or November of 2020.
Uh-huh.
And then he got it, saw the law, added some stuff to it, made some changes, and he got the people of Michigan attorney at 10,000. They were getting ready to do an audit, but a guy named Clements, who was an attorney, and his team told them that they didn't have to do an audit. We also had Georgia about to do an audit.
Uh-huh.
We had New Hampshire about to do an audit. I think Pennsylvania, Nevada, and a couple other states. All the swing states were doing audits based on the work I did.
Well,
But
that's
then
good.
Clements
That's
went in and
great.
told them, don't do it. Well, let me tell you what happened because you got to hear this part. The guy named Clements went into the states and told them, you don't have to do an audit, just do a canvas. And then, because the audit costs too much, and we can find out if something is wrong with the canvas, and then we'll turn around and do an audit later. Well, he took all the states, got them to set up to do canvassing. Then he dropped the ball on all the canvases at the same time and let everything fall into the dirt. So the people didn't get a chance to get their audits because they let an attorney sneak in and influence what happened. But it was good because, or God can use it for good because, meantime, we were fighting over all the things with the OSHA, the Supreme Court situation with, well, we weren't fighting over it. We created the notices to make.
You there? Hold on.
We went after bad actors in OSHA. We went after what happened with the Supreme Court. Sorry, what happened with the Supreme Court. Jaron lost his mic. Um, with OSHA, with ATF, we wrote the notices, and then I told people before it happened. So 2 weeks to a month before it happened, I said, "Hey, everybody, watch this. I'm going to make an affidavit to go against the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, against the attorneys who are attacking people with OSHA. I'm going to make one with the lockdowns. I'm going to make one with administrative agencies. I'm going to make one with ATF." So we did all these documents, right? Turned them in. And then every single situation that we argued about, including the sovereign immunity, I can post or get somebody to post the notices in the chat bubble, and then you can see every single time is before the Supreme Court or the federal legislature deals with it, including what we see Massey doing right now with going after the administrative tribunals. They're using the exact wording that has not been used in law in the nation. So nobody's
Mm-hmm.
going around as attorneys or state officials saying, yeah, these legislative tribunals are what we're using to take people's stuff. I wrote the documents, showed the legislative tribunals. I brought back maladministration from the old constitutions and the documents and served it on these people. and I had other people do it with us as well. So when they got 15,000 notices here, 6,000 there, 5,000 here, the et cetera, et cetera, the Supreme Court has dealt with every single issue, every single one.
Okay. But I'm saying like none of the states have overturned their results.
Yeah, because you have to teach the people in the states. So, okay, so that's the part
But
I
see,
was going
that's
to.
that's my point is that these things still happen even though in theory they're not supposed to happen.
Yeah, only because the people don't know. But that's like saying, well, Britain was ruling over the people and it was happening even though it's not supposed to. Yeah, and then the people find out. And then Britain messed around and found out. So
Right, but
it's the
up
same
until
thing.
then their rights were being violated and
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
person that's sitting in the jail cell, their freedom is still taken away
okay.
from them.
So what's the alternative? So people are already doing wrong, right? So they just get done wrong too. So there's two alternatives: to agree with the wrong that's being done and not do anything about it, or to be a freaking boss and go against it. There's only two ways. So
Correct.
what would you say should be done?
You should fight it, of course.
Okay, so we've been winning in thousands of situations. So the only thing I see people can say to me is, okay, so Dave, I see that you're saying this or that could happen. That's good, right? But bad, bad still happens or it didn't
Yes.
happen yet. To me, I'm cool with it didn't happen yet because everything we did didn't happen until we got it done. So it is what it is. When we aim at stuff, we usually win. So it's only a matter of time. Like when we defeated England, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all these people learned in the law like we have now. We couldn't take a message and put it on a video and have it go viral across the nation. We didn't have all these people on Twitter sharing the truth. I don't think it's going to last. All this stuff that they're doing wrong with these administrative tribunals, I can tell you it ain't going to last long. That's why the Supreme Court is throwing everybody under the bus. And that's why Thomas Massey is throwing everybody under the bus because he knows and they know that this ain't sustainable what they've been doing to the people and it's about to be fixed.
I
So
agree, and I hope that it is fixed.
it will. And the pendulum is just swinging the other way right now. And that's the thing. It's like you're good usually until things swing the other way. And then once things swing the other way, it's rough because the same wickedness and stuff that people have been dishing out is usually how righteousness responds to them. And I just pray that people repent and they find Christ and that there's mercy because we're here now. It's like there's no reason that people who haven't gotten a law license should be winning like we're winning. There's no reason why the Supreme Court should respond to what we say. And the good thing that I think that God does is God gives us the ability to have fruit. So when the whole New Jersey, because this is what's weird, you brought up about New Jersey and the businesses shut down out of your own
Yeah.
mind from what you saw. So I
Yeah.
didn't bring up New Jersey, but God gave me wins with testimony of people saying, yeah, I was the first one in New Jersey to go against the government with Dave Jose's help, and the government got shut the freak down. See, it ain't me saying it, it's the people who had their lives in danger. See, the gentleman, Tommy Trevillis, who's on the video I sent you in the chat bubble, he says nobody knew what to do. The government was arresting everybody. He said he was the only one who used it, or he the first one who used it the way that I told him to. He was the only one to defeat government in front of everybody, and then others started doing it. So I have a situation that's rare where I can say I was the first one to walk into a commie state and go against their government and win and destroy them in front of everybody out in the open.
That's
Right?
great.
No, nobody's hiding it. Like there was another lady who she did a big event where there was hundreds of business owners in there, and I did a live video with attorneys there showing the law, and then I opened up a lot of them as PMAs, and the government knew bypass that one, don't touch that one.
Well, that's good.
So,
That's
yeah,
good.
and there were
If you're winning
police.
again,
The
if you're
police are
winning,
going.
you're doing the right stuff. I mean, I think that we're probably in agreement on like 95% of Everything. I mean, I think that the stuff that you're saying you're fighting for is stuff we should be fighting for.
Yeah, we got to get it done. The thing is that the people don't have a choice. Like a lot of people are going through pain and suffering and agony. And just like you said about helping people in your church, I got a lot of people that are part of the same church. Actually, me and Jaron are part of the same church. There's a lot of others who were baptized. Summer, um, Clint, Denise. There's a ton of them. Diane. They're all over. Violet. And then we have the people who we try to show the love that God has for the people as He told the church to do. And so there's a lot of people you'll see, like if you just scroll down and you look at the faces, you're going to see black people, white people, brown people, yellow people, everything in between, right? And we have learned to care for each other and have each other's backs where, nobody goes hungry. Um, you
Yeah.
know, People don't
Yeah.
suffer
That's how
alone.
the church should be. That's
Yeah.
great.
Now some of the people aren't in the church, but I try to show people the love that God tells us to have.
And
That's what I'm trying to get to.
and Marty, this is why I mean, this is like I said earlier, this is why I made those comments on Jared's video is when we see people that are being destroyed, this is an evangelism opportunity. Like, the Bible, I mean, Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 17, woe unto me if I do not preach the gospel. So the duty of Christians is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Well,
Yep.
part of that gospel is his wisdom. Christ's wisdom is, in the Bible, and our founders understood the Bible, and they gave us a government that was framed on biblical precepts. And if people actually know their Bibles, they will understand their government. And there's law, there's judgment, there's equity, there's righteousness all throughout Scripture. And so because people are under such oppression, people like myself, learning from Dave, we can go out in public and offer help for free. I don't make money doing this. Like Jaron does not provide the living for his family doing this. This is a ministry. So I never get paid from anybody that I help. I won't take their money.
Hmm.
And so we will go publicly and say, I'm going to help you. I'm willing to help you. Now, I will say most people, and this is what the Bible teaches, the what Psalm chapter 20, right? Some men trust in chariots, some men trust in horses, but we shall fear the name of the Lord. Many people, when we offer them help, they're afraid of government. Government is an idol, and they're afraid of being destroyed and losing, so they don't stand on what's true. And so I'll offer help. I DM'd Jared. I sent him a direct message and I said, hey, here's what's up. Let me help. No answer. And this is because, I won't speak to his motives, but this is a form of evangelism. So when we publicly say, hey, I'll help you, I absolutely mean it. And I will absolutely stand on the fundamental law with precision because I know what it is, because we've been diligent in our study. We've been studying in peace. That way, whenever we have those times, that's why I'll rock in a second. If someone wants a challenge, let's go. Let's rock. And which is where I was coming from, because I didn't know you and you didn't know me. I'm offering help to a man who's telling the world that his life is destroyed, that I know in the law, if he's telling me the truth, that I can help him for like the cost of what, $20 certified mail. And his life could be defended, or his life could be restored with Christ's wisdom. I'm going to be able to preach the gospel. God gets the glory, and more people come to an understanding and an awareness of the fundamental law and how to defend their rights. It's a win-win-win-win-win situation. And this is where, you and I had more of our conversation, and there's still cowards lurking in the comments of those other threads where they will say there'll be doubters, and they'll be attacking, or they will be sniping, or they'll be, just snarky. And it's like, okay, let's bring it. Let's see what you got, because I know what's written, and I'm not going to back down. And so when someone says, I think you're wrong, let's go live. As I explained this afternoon, we have to do that as people that are bringing the truth, because people have to see, they have to see courage. They cannot see fear, right? Because Second Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7, God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, right? So we have to engage directly when we're challenged. And what's rare is that most people don't actually know what they believe. They don't actually know the law. They haven't studied to show themselves approved. And, if we want to talk Bible, most people don't know what the Bible says either. So,
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
dealing with people that, by God's grace, we are loving people, and the world sucks. Like there's a lot of bad stuff. We got to
Yeah.
preach the gospel, and we are now in the time. God bless. We are now in the time when justice and righteousness is coming back, but it has to be according to God's wisdom. And this is why we don't. This is why I'll never negotiate. This is why we have to maintain a strict adherence with precision to what's written. And this is why, and I'll say, this is why Dave was telling you, this is why Dave was asking you for you to read it and not to trust him. Because the Bible teaches us in Psalm chapter 146 to not trust man. We're not supposed to trust anybody. The Bible tells you don't trust anybody. So don't trust me, right? God's no respecter of man, right? Romans chapter 3 and verse 4, let God be true and every man a liar. We are supposed to prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. And in the law, when we understand what the law is, we stand on it. And I hope that makes more sense now, because that's where I'm coming from. Whenever I fish, that's what I'm doing. I'm fishing, right?
Hmm.
Jesus said, "You'll be fishers of men," and this is one way to fish. I'm fishing with His wisdom in the law, and it's just rare because most people have never been taught, and so most people who learn from Dave have come to him by way of having their lives destroyed in one way or the other. And so, as a non-attorney, right, my father was an attorney, my father-in-law is an attorney, right, my uncles are attorneys. I come from a family of attorneys. I love, I love my dad. He passed last year. But when
Sorry
we
to hear that.
speak, no, yeah, he's in heaven, so he's good. But when 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 we when we deal with the law, it's about precision. And when we recognize this, as you've said today, the people created government. The people wrote the constitutions. And what most people today aren't taught is we've been educated out of our first estate. We've been educated out of the place where God has put us. And this is why many people hold these pessimistic and oppressive paradigms that aren't true. And so what we try to do is try to stand on the law, and we never back down because we know what we're talking about. And when people, with an open mind like you have, God bless you, come and say, well, why do you believe this? Where's this? Where's this? We show it because we have to. That's the obligation. I have to show you where it's written. I don't want you to trust me. I want you to see it so you know it. And now once you know it, you can go share it with someone else. And that's what we're doing. And a last thing, and I'll shut up. What most people today don't understand is that this is how God moves. He moves through his people where he will get the glory and nobody else can say that it was for them. He's not going to share his glory with anybody. So here you have some dusty Negro from Detroit who's teaching the law at
What's
such a
up?
who's
What's
who's teaching
up?
who's teaching the law with such precision, and it's methodical, it's deliberate. And there's still people today, like in the comment section, I posted, and people, please
Tell
share the
they're
space.
listening. Tell Ironic Counselor to come get some of this action.
I did, dude. I already did. I sent him the link. But these people want to talk all tough anonymously. They don't want to show their face. They don't want to have their voice. And this is where I'll be deliberate. They don't understand that we will be able to find data and digital records of who's saying what. And we will be able to find who these people are, what their trade names are, and what unrighteousness and lawlessness they've been practicing as attorneys unrighteously against people's rights for the last however long they've been going. because one of the maxims say the time does not pass on the Commonwealth. So if these people have been deteriorating or attacking or oppressing people's rights, I'm going to go find them and we're going to go take their stuff, because you cannot use government to attack people. That's called treason. And when you understand the law, we're not playing. None of us here are playing. This is real stuff. And
Mhm.
by God, we've got the fruit to show it. But this is why we have these spaces, not to yell at you or to beat you up, but to show this is what the truth is. Now, to your credit, you're a soft-hearted man, and God bless you for that. You're a noble man who heard things out. If you would have come hard, you would have gotten crushed, because we would have shown here's what the law says. Like the Michigan Constitution literally says you can prosecute your own case. So whenever that dumb guy Vester with his avatar, I circled it, I put it in the purple pill. When that guy says this dude literally just admitted to practicing the own law, dude, shut the
I
freak
didn't say
up.
I practice law. I said I'm a monster. I win all the time. I don't give a freak.
Right, and that dude has no idea what the fundamental law is, and he's never read the constitutions, and this
No,
is
hey
why.
Jared, what he thinks is he thinks he'll go with some of his bar friends and make a little record. Like he don't even know
Yeah,
Arizona flipped over. You don't have to be a lawyer to own a law firm now because they know what the
right,
freak we did.
yeah,
So
and this
you can
yeah, and
play
this
if you
is
want to. You can make a
and
case against me if you want to. You ain't gonna like what you get back.
yeah, and they don't, because it's been hidden. In a lot of cases, it's been just bad education. I mean, think about it. Like the very first thing Satan did in Genesis 3 and verse 1, he says, "Hath God said?" Installing doubt in what was plainly said, plainly written, is literally the oldest form of deception. And so the best notion of truth is what Jesus taught, which is it is written. And when you show what's clearly written, people shut up.
Oh, Vester is here. Hey, Vester, you want some of this action? So I think Vester, you're the attorney. Let me give you a mic. Vester attorney is here, y'all. Hey, Vester, you want to come up and tell me how I'm wrong and lay down the law for us? Vester, I just gave you a mic. I see you at the bottom with your glass on, or your avatar. It looks pretty cool. Would you like to come up and tell us how I'm wrong and all that good stuff?
He was talking about doctrines earlier. He was
Oh
like, "What
gosh.
doctrine's wrong? Show me what doctrine's wrong." So I'd
Okay.
like
Hey,
for him to
Vester,
explain the law and doctrine.
please tell me about please tell me about the Chevron deference doctrine attorney's been using for quite some time. That'd be awesome. So I didn't try to give him a mic like 400 times.
Now, and Marty, this is why
Jared, can
we
you
do
give him a
this.
mic, please? Can you give him a
Yeah,
mic?
and Marty, this is why we do what we do, because if people want to have a discussion, let's have a discussion, because the people are here. Now remember, our Savior, right? Jesus, he drew crowds using controversy. He
I
used
agree. Yeah.
he used
Yeah.
controversy to draw the crowd. And so whenever
Jared,
I
wait,
invited,
Jared, can you give him a mic?
yeah, hold on, let me
He's in
shut up. But
Nashville, Tennessee, I guess.
yeah, but Marty, when Jesus used controversy, there he is. I got you. Invite to speak. Yeah, I just invited him.
Please invite your other friend too that was with you. I don't know if you guys are cool, but the other person, what was it, in something?
Are you
Uh,
talking to me?
no,
The other
it's the
attorney,
other
Nick.
dude. But Marty, I mean, I invited him 3 times, Dave.
I did like
Click,
6.
invite to speak.
My
Can you
wife's
do
an
a
attorney. She's listening. She might want to hop in.
Well, and
No,
I mean, the thing is, like,
y'all seem
I'll
to be
say this.
real. Y'all seem to be real. You seem to not be a clown. You seem to be a good guy.
Well,
So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
and I'll say this, like, my father was an attorney. Like, he supported us, as I was supported by an attorney. He's my dad. So I don't have things against attorneys. There were people in that thread saying, I can see that you've got bad things for attorneys. I come from a family of attorneys. I don't have beef against attorneys. But you recognize in that thread, I was offering a man help. I was offering him free help to help him because his life was being destroyed. And it was the attorneys that came in saying, you don't know what you're talking about and you're wrong.
No, it
All
was
right.
Luke. It was Luke 11:52. It's like, woe unto you lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge, right? Those who were entering in, you hinder, and you ain't going in yourself. So the people who try to interfere with somebody telling somebody else the truth is an attorney that's not being right, as God said, or a lawyer. So the people seeing other people being free who get mad, they're like, you can't tell people how to get free. It's like, screw what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Dave, I've tried to invite him like 4 times, and I mean, he's in the chat, so he can hear.
Hey,
He
Mr.
can
Vester,
hear.
please do a request so we can get you in here and say how brilliant you are.
Now, Marty, and I appreciate you sticking around and being noble and hearing, you listen. If Vester's got the guts to come live, and if he brings that heat, you watch. Dave will break down to the fundamentals. He'll break it down to the fundamentals.
Hey, quit telling Vester what I'm gonna do to him.
No, I'm going to tell him because I want this man's pride to get him to come live. He's come in the chat. He's come in the chat. He's here. He's talking all big and bad.
Hey, Vester,
Let's go.
why don't you show that gangster like a boss? If you that real,
Hey, every
Trying to see if my wife wants to come on.
your gang, your screen says attorney, man. You got to be a monster with your attorney.
Hey, everybody, could you please send an invite to Vester?
Vester,
Just
come on,
message
bring
him
it.
directly.
Vester, we love you. Come on, get up in here and get some of this action. Come on, Vester.
Hey, Vester, please tell us about that time about case law. could you please explain to us case law?
Hey, Vester, make a report on me and tell the bar that I'm practicing law without a license. Tell them I'm
Yeah,
telling everybody about the law.
tell them we're practicing without a license.
You know, give yourself a real name, write up a report, swear by affidavit I can't teach the law as much as I want to. I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
Since you big and bad. Make a bar complaint.
Yeah, my name is actually Jaron Jackson, and that's what I look like on my picture. So,
Hey, I'll even grow hair on the top if you do it. No, for real though, Vester, make a request and come in here and talk like you were talking in the other place because I'm really looking forward to a discussion with you and your friend. If you
yeah.
guys would come, I'll be nice and respectful.
Now,
Please
Dave,
come.
hey, what was your background in college?
Football.
Well, let's see if we can't understand the psychology of Mr. Vester here.
Hey,
The man has
I specialized in football and watermelon trees.
the
Come on,
man the
Vester.
man for the last few days has been dogging me. This guy does brr, 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 brr. I had the audacity to say lawyers don't know the law, and he LOL'd at me, and I said let's go live, and he didn't go live. Actually, Mr. Marty Gatz, the noble man we're speaking to, the noble man who had the ability to just say, hey, here's what the law is. Let's learn. Let's everybody learn. Everybody's edified. No one's insulting. We're all edified. The body is edified, and God gets the glory. This is a righteous thing. But you've got those who are trying to sneak in to figure out our liberty. And this is Mr. Vester, who has the courage to at least come on this space to show that he's there, but he's not actually going to take a mic and
Wait,
actually
bro.
talk.
Wait. Maybe he's a white woman named Karen. You
Yeah.
don't blow his cover.
You think
He could
you
be a
think
white woman
it's
named
like a
Karen.
hardcore like tough dude, but it's like really like a beta male or like a woman. You think?
No, it could be a white woman named Karen from Washington that's trying to hide as a dude that looked like the Terminator on the picture.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
she might identify as a Terminator, but she's really not that gangster.
Dave, I think you're dumb. I think coleslaw is great, and judges make the world go round.
I will say, as an attorney, I don't think any of us like judges.
Well, so I mean,
Oh,
think about that. So think about that. Like judges, their job, their duty is to declare the law. Period. Period.
wait, Jared, you
Judges,
mean like they got to declare the law, like tell what the law already is, even before
yes,
the case, what the
and
law was?
yeah, and here's the other thing: judges don't interpret the law; they declare it. So
What?
Right.
when you quote the law to them, Their job is to be like, yep, that's the law.
That's right.
And so if you know the fundamental law, which is the Constitution's, and constitutional provisions are always admissible in every court, then I'm just going to claim my rights. And Marty, you said that you were in Texas. Texas Constitution Article 1, Section 29 is beautiful.
Oh,
Like it just thumps people.
it's gangster.
I mean, like Texas Article 1, Section 29 of the Texas Constitution is beautiful. It basically shuts people up. And so when we know our rights and we say what the fundamental law is, it puts trustees in government in a really bad spot, because either A, they do the law and we win, or B, they don't do the law and it's like, now you just violated your oath. Did you violate your oath because you're now choosing not to uphold your oath? Or are you violating your oath because you didn't know it? Either way you answer, you're screwed. Right? Because if
I guess my whole point in coming on here is to say that they do violate it and they get away with it.
They only get away
That's
with
my
it
point.
because nobody knew it. Like, let me
right,
ask you
and
this, Marty, just to make it simple. There's people who got arrested for raping kids in government in recent history, right?
Probably, yeah.
Like last 3, 4, 5 years, people got arrested. How come they don't just go rape kids out in the middle of the street?
Because they don't want to get caught.
Why don't they want to get caught?
They'll go to prison.
So they're scared?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay, so if government has to do things in hiding, or they are not open about what they're doing, is because they have fear. That's what it is. So
I agree with that, yeah.
most of our government are not gangsters. They're just people who didn't get the information disclosed to them. So when attorneys are telling them, "Hey, you could just take kids, houses, dogs, cars, whatever you want to. You could just whatever we tell you, you could write and do, you can do, and there's no limitation as long as the statute says it," and they forget the Constitution, they're getting deceived into doing bad things. But as soon as they find their name on a piece of paper and they find out their house might get taken or they might go to jail, it's a lot different in the real world,
Yeah,
right? So,
right. Yeah.
that's the
My
problem.
only point is that they do that. They still do it.
Yeah, they
And
do
it
it. They do
still
it when
takes
people
stuff from
don't know.
people.
Yeah, when people don't know. But see, the thing is that we're going downhill real fast, where a snowball is growing because the people have figured out the real law. And here's the thing: in the states, y'all don't even realize it how we do in the federal level. In the federal level, attorneys are like, "Oh my gosh," and government officials are like, "Oh, this is getting heavy." In some of the states, the federal courts are saying, "Man, we're not even playing the game. You can't go against this person's right. Case closed. Get the freak out of here." Like the range case. Oh, you're saying, "Oh, you want us to believe this person ain't one of the people anymore because they got a felony charge?" Oh, sorry, no, that don't fly. That's never been like that in the law. Get the freak out of here.
Dave, let me
The
give you
courts are
let me
telling.
give a summary. Let me give a summary of the range case. So, a couple of years ago, Dave wrote notice, and so I've only been learning from Dave for like the last year. That's it. And so that's as long as I've been learning from him. But a couple of years ago, he wrote a notice, and his students at the time sent it in, and they basically told the Supreme Court, "You guys have been doing wrong." And he mentioned November 7, 22, and Pilsner, if you could, or Riley, if you could you please post that bit? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but Pilsner, you're awesome. That bit from Gorsuch. Now, this Gorsuch spilled the beans November 7, 2022, in a case that had nothing to do with what was going on. And Dave gave Supreme Court 14 days, and it was like what? Like 11 days,
13.
12 days,
13.
13
On the
days.
13th
So
day, they came on and told.
so 13 days after they got notice, and this is years ago, Supreme Court came out and said, "Hey, we've been screwing people. The biggest litigators, the federal government, we put the thumb on the scale of justice. We're screwing people. We're not doing what's righteous." And then
They
Dave
actually
just,
said they were not using courts,
right.
They
Well,
said
right.
what?
judicial courts.
Well, so we'll put it, if Pilsner or Riley,
Look at
if you
the
guys could
Gorsuch decision, page 9, November 7th, 2022. Some of the other pages too. You'll see where
and
he exposes and tells on everybody.
and so that builds because what Dave has methodically done by God and other people, like, God's doing it. Dave's the guy that understands, and a lot of us that are learning from him are, coming along, right? Like we're all Bubbas, and we roll deep. So when, so we're writing notices. So then the
Hold
Supreme
on,
Court
wait,
comes
Jen,
out.
hold on. Hey, Vester, make sure you take notes so you can give it to whoever you're going to give it to. Make sure you CC the Supreme Court, because here's what's going to happen. When you report me for practicing law without a license, let the Supreme Court see who you're talking about, and then make sure you put your name on it and swear by affidavit so they can come back and deal with what's going to be dealt with. And then I want you, Mr. Vester, to say that you tried to influence my public servants to prosecute me for exercising your right. So I want you to stand on that if you're a boss. But go ahead,
Yeah,
sir.
we'll
Keep going, Darren.
we'll call that tortious interference. But
Yeah,
hey,
keep going.
so the next big thing was the Bruen case. The Bruen case, which was 22, June of 22. No, June of 23, I'm sorry. So the oral arguments were heard December of 22. The case came out June of 23. And the decision, and this is where I don't want to offend, but there's different, like, doctrines is stupid. When people say there's doctrines, that's dumb. The law either is or it isn't. There's no such thing as a doctrine. This is why case law is a hoax. But when the Supreme Court came out, they declared the text, history, and tradition is the law. So the very first thing that we do is we look at the text of the Constitution, because our constitutions are express trusts. Exactly what is written is the law, nothing more, nothing less, right? And so
Vester gonna say he ain't in the place where he can speak. Dude, walk outside. If you
yeah,
gangster like that and you got time to talk, come on outside. Walk outside. You're the boss. Don't tell me somebody else is
Hey,
your
you got to
boss.
give him some leeway. I mean, earlier I couldn't talk.
No,
that's
You
I
true.
know.
want that smoke. He's been writing,
But
so either he's on somebody else's time and he's
yeah,
cheating, or he's faking. He been
and
talking
this
a lot of junk. Come get that action in.
and Marty, this is where I gotta throttle down from what I was saying on you, because I didn't know you and you didn't know me. But it's like when someone brings that heat, it's like, let's go. Like, you want it, you can have all of it.
Yeah,
Let's do it right
if he's
now.
at work and he's in the space, then he's ripping somebody off of their hours. He's supposed to be
Well,
at
think
work.
about how much he'd be ripping him off if he was doing what I'm doing, talking for I don't know how 3 hours.
There's no levels to this stuff. Either he is or he ain't. So if
Right.
he's talking at the gym, yeah, see, if this is about America, he's telling people that people
See,
are lying.
he's a punk.
I'm supposed to go to the gym today too, and I didn't go. I'm supposed to be doing other stuff and I didn't go because America is more important. So walk your anus out the gym and bring the fire like you wanted to and put it out there.
Right.
Don't play. The gym is where you go work out. You probably work out all the time. It ain't gonna hurt you to come show us where we're wrong and then
You
go.
guys don't
As a
work
matter of
out because
fact,
Spaces talks.
if you're an attorney, you should probably be able to work out and talk at the same time because it should already be in your mind. So come
Well,
get some of
right.
this
And
action.
and hey, Dave he don't even conjugate verbs,
Yeah,
right? All you got to do is say, "Hey, look, a watermelon," right? And you'll
I
you'll
get
completely
distracted.
frazzle them.
A
Like,
squirrel.
I'm gonna stay out of that one.
Hey, I don't know by
but
your
hey,
picture. You look like you eat
let,
some watermelons too, Marty.
let, let's get back. Hey,
Marty,
back to
does
the
Marty
back to
Gats mean guns?
No,
Because
back
you
back to
look
the.
like this dude I knew from the past who
it's
used to.
literally it's Barack Obama and Snoop Dogg put together.
That's what I
Oh
was
man.
thinking. It was Snoop. I was like, "Who is this?" Okay, so the Bruin case, the Bruin case,
Hold
what
on,
the
wait. But
Supreme.
Marty, you don't sound like a brother though.
No, I'm not.
You sound kind of light skinned.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
that mean? What's that mean?
He sound like he looked like you, but he don't sound like he listen to DMX though.
It's all about the soul, not the skin.
Hey,
Amen.
I should have checked Marty though. I should have been like, hey Marty, say the N word.
Jaron, you
Uh,
say the M word.
Hey,
do
and see
what?
what he does.
Can you say the M word?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Why not?
Jaron is my
I
Negro.
don't know.
All right. Hey, Bruin case. Bruin case. The what attorneys would call the holding, right? Or what they would say is establishes the doctrine. The Supreme Court came and they declared the text, history, and tradition is the law. So it's a one-step methodology. It is literally, what does the Constitution say? And this is what no attorney is realizing whenever they litigate in front of SCOTUS right now. They do not understand because attorneys will think that the Bruen case was a gun case. That's how they've been taught. They think that it falls under the subject matter of guns or firearms, which it doesn't. And because this is how they think, yesterday I was listening to the oral arguments of what was it? It was a case. Oh, it's some other administrative adjudication, and the litigator for the government was arguing why an administrative agency should be able to adjudicate. And his reasoning, get this, his reasoning to the justices was, well, there's only like 200 of these cases a year, so it's really not that big of a deal. And so we don't recommend that you overturn because it's really not that big of an issue. And Neil Gorsuch asked him, how many cases does it need to be substantive? Now,
Ouch!
that attorney
Gosh darn it,
in
that
the
hurt.
attorney's brain, that attorney is thinking, well, the case law, it needs to be a milestone, it needs to be a precedent, it needs to be a big case, a really big case. That's how the attorney's thinking.
A
The
big
attorney's thinking
issue.
according,
A big
right,
issue.
the attorney's thinking according to a doctrine. He's thinking according to a doctrine and what he's been taught. That's his worldview. That's his paradigm.
Uh-huh.
Where the Supreme Court has flipped, and if investors listening, this is the issue. Where the Supreme Court has flipped by God, and this is God's glory, they have now flipped completely to, we are going to start with the text of the Constitution, and
Uh-oh.
depending on what that says,
Uh-oh.
does government have the granted power to do what it's doing? Period.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Period. And so and the attorneys don't know that because the attorneys don't know that government is an express
Hey,
trust.
no. Hey, look, they don't know that you can't go back to law school right now and get all the education you need before the court hearing next week. That's the problem. They
Right?
don't know
Yeah.
it flipped, and now they're stuck with the knowledge they got. And for some of them, they're stuck with the knowledge they got and pride. That's why I'm like, shucks, any attorney who wants to fight any day of the week and come at me, any day of the week, no practice, no hesitation. I'm like, just open up the door and say you want the smoke, and I'll give it
And
to you.
so the Bruen case was the first time the not the first time. The Bruen case was the Supreme Court submitting to the authority of the people. That's what it was. And so when the Supreme Court submitted, because we told them to, I should say Dave and his people, because I wasn't with Dave when he did it yet, but they submitted. And so now when we send them notice, they obey. And everybody in the country, because of their paradigm, they see the Supreme Court as the truth, the arbiters, the best of the best. And so when the Supreme Court says something, they all go, yes, that's true. But they don't know that we're telling them what to say. And so we're telling the Supreme Court what to say, and then they say it, and then the nation's like, oh, well, where does this come from?
Hey,
And this is why
I don't even want to tell people that we didn't taught enough of the government now that the government is saying we'll throw people in jail, we'll go after anybody who you prove did
right,
wrong, and we'll tell on the people who did it too. So while
right,
people thinking it's a game, oh yeah, we'll get you prosecuted. Oh, we got more people. You don't realize the nation ain't what it used to be. You're not living in
right,
the same place you were a year ago, where you thought you could just punish everybody for telling the truth. You're on the wrong side of the coin now.
right.
That's
And
the
and
truth.
that's where that sovereign immunity case with the Kurtz case, KIRTZ, it
Hey, and
happened a couple weeks ago.
can somebody post where I told the Supreme Court to show that there's no sovereign immunity, please? Can somebody
Yeah,
show that? But go ahead,
Pilsner
Dave.
or
I'm sorry.
Riley. But yeah, so Dave did a notice. What was that, Dave? Early 23,
I can't even
January of
remember when, but
2023. It was January.
thousands of
It
people
was
turned in.
January. It was January of 2023. And we sent notice because I had just got on board. We sent notice. We told the Supreme Court, you will say that there's no such thing as sovereign immunity. And then what happened is they went out and they started searching for cases on
Hold on, wait,
administrative
no, Jaron,
agencies.
we missed the part. Tell them how we told them we're going to make the Supreme Court do it ahead of time. Told
Oh
the
yeah,
amount
that's
of
the best
time.
part.
I said, oh,
That's
it's
the
going to
best
be,
part.
give it 2 weeks to a month. Supreme Court and federal legislature going to be looking,
So right.
Supreme Court
Yeah.
for
So
cases, the other side for ways to show people there's no immunity.
So Dave, because he's a Christian, is going to give glory to God. And this is why this is a God thing, because Dave's not a prophet, right? Like, I don't look at him as a prophet. This isn't a cult. He's just a regular dude, right? He's just a normal guy. Um, in talent, incredibly gifted, but he's just a normal dude. But when he come out, he did a video. He's like, we're going to do this notice. 2 weeks later, the Supreme Court's going to take up this issue, and then they're going to destroy it. That was January of 2023. Less than 2 weeks later, they announced they're going to hear like 3 different administrative agency
Hey,
cases.
after we told them, you better tell you're not using courts. And then they told.
Yes. Right. So, and then this is why it's important to have the notice. And hopefully, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, Pilsner, but you're the dude. Like, you do this. The notice is going to say, tell you're not using real courts, because and this is why
No,
I
no, no.
said,
All
and
right, let me tell them because you missed the
okay,
part. So I literally said in the notice, you have to tell the people that you're using legislative tribunals that are not real courts. We explain where the attorneys had the definitions change of court, how they did it, and we told the Supreme Court to expose it. And then they said everything we said, point by point, word for word, issue for issue, in the first notice. Then we gave them another one where we thanked them for telling, and then we told them what to do in the second notice. And they went and did that. Then we gave them a third one. So we gave them notices and affidavits on legislative tribunals, the use of things that are not courts, no impartial judges, not following what the definition of court of record was. We exposed all of it, gave it to them bit by bit in order. And then at the same time we were doing it, we were coming on Twitter, coming on Rumble and all that. And we would say, look, guys, watch what we're going to do next. Because we did the same thing with the Arizona audit. I said, we're going to create a document. All of you guys are going to work with us. We are going to expose everything they're doing wrong with these administrative cases after we did the Arms Act notices. So we told them with the Arms Act notices, watch, we're going to make them expose the ATF and destroy any government interference with the people's rights to have guns. And I said, 2 weeks to a month, guaranteed, watch what the freak they do. So we didn't wait until after we did it. We told everybody in every situation ahead of time, and then they did it. Go ahead, Jaron.
yeah, and so yes, so he's doing that because he obviously knows the law, and because the Supreme Court had submitted. And this is where they understood, the Supremes know that, one, they've never, like, this has never happened before. You've never had thousands of people come with precision, fundamental law, going all the way back to the originals and like precisely saying exactly what the issue is. We're not just complaining. Like, what Dave said many times is, I'm not guessing, I'm aiming. This is why whenever you and I were talking on that Twitter thread, whenever I started asking, what's the technical definition of court? Well, I know what the technical definition, like, the words have definitions. Same thing for court of record, same thing for all these things. So this is what we're showing. And when we're showing these things, the Supreme Court submitted. So then they start announcing, and they took up these administrative cases. So now they have these administrative cases, and the first case that they ruled on, this Kurtz case, the KIRTZ, I don't even remember what it was about, but it was about, the ability for him to sue. Now, think about this. The Supremes went out and they got that case. They expedited it and they lifted it up to them. It didn't make its natural way to the Supreme Court. They hunted that case. They searched for it. Then they pulled it up to themselves. And if people are really paying attention, and I'm about to say something massive, you'll realize the U.S. Tax Court is an administrative agency. So I'll just say that. But the Supreme Court, 9-0, said that the federal government does not have sovereign immunity. Now, this is where the Supreme Court will be very precise and delicate, and you have to know what they say, even when they don't say it, because they're very smart and they're very brilliant. They will say, and that ruling, that the decision, they came out and they said, basically there needs to be the grant of immunity. If there's no grant of immunity, it doesn't exist. Now, attorneys will read that and they'll think that it's under the subject matter of whatever agency that was. I can't recall. I think it was the Food and Drug Administration, maybe. I can't recall. Don't hold me against it because
Yeah,
I don't
grants
remember.
grants don't deal with any specific agency. Grants deal with the grant from the people to give
Right.
a general power to do something in specifics. So if there's never a grant to have immunity when you go against the Constitution, it doesn't exist. And I'm gonna prove it. The next notice I'm going to do is I'm going to prove it with the government. I'm going to make the Supreme Court, by God, tell that nobody in the government can go against the Constitution and be immune. Watch. But go ahead, Jaron. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going, because what Dave's done, it's been a methodical approach to get them bit by bit to take away and to declare the truth. And so now with the 9-0 decision about sovereign immunity, the lawyers will look at this and they'll think about the doctrine that just got established. This is Vester's problem. Vester's problem is that he thinks according to doctrines. He doesn't know the law, and that's why he's wrong. That's also why he's not going to come live. But he's thinking according to doctrines, and so people would take the Kurtz decision, the unanimous decision, in which Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Jackson, the woman that couldn't even define what a woman was, right? These justices voted against, and it struck down sovereign immunity. This means, and that decision said, if there's no grant, it doesn't exist. This is setting up the fact that what Dave just said, he and God's gonna get the glory, but we're gonna have the Supreme say, yeah, if the Constitution doesn't grant you the power, you don't have it. And this is what the Supreme Court has been. This has been their paradigm since mid 2022, and really before that. And so what we're doing is we are showing the Supremes this is what the fundamentals are. And we'll go back hundreds of years to do it. We'll go.
You know what, Jaron? Even Jason Fick's attorney, he recognized when he saw the notices right away. He said, "Man, we were wondering in the Supreme Court why they're flipping like this." He's like, "Oh my gosh, I see what you guys are doing. I know it's y'all. It's easy to see. You guys have flipped the law, and nobody knew why it was happening."
Hey guys.
He saw it. But let me just say this real quick. You got to roll.
Well, yeah, but I was going to ask you where those notices were, like if I can read them.
Oh, there's a ton of them. We'll get them to you if we can find a way
If you
send you a message, or
Marty,
if you're on Telegram. Hey, but let me say
if you
this
can
real
link
quick.
them or
Hey,
whatever.
Vester, I know you're working out, Vester. I got another webinar space at 5:15. I know you're working out, bro. If you really want to get your workout in, I'll give you one if you come on live. Just come on live. I'll give you a workout. I promise you.
Marty, if you DM me, what I'll do is I'll collect them, and I'll just send you a bunch of them, and that way you can see everyone. And I'll even say this, because in the early March, like a couple weeks ago, Dave wrote a notice. We sent it out on March 5th. March 5th. We said March 5th of this year is when we sent it, and we instructed Judge McAfee, the district judge in Georgia, who's overlooking the Trump collusion election interference case. We sent out a notice directing Judge McAfee to drop the criminal charges against Floyd and what was the other girl's name?
No, the first one was to drop the charges against
Trump. But that was
Trump.
in January.
And then he started dropping. We did that one. He started dropping any election interference ones. Then we did it for Cuddy and what's her name?
Floyd.
Floyd and Cuddy. So we picked only two people out of the whole bunch of defendants on purpose to show everybody we're going to aim directly at the defendants that we're going to choose, and we ain't looking at nobody else, and watch what the freak happens. So now Floyd, they're going over his case again to see if they could get him for the charges in the first place of him interfering with the election. And we did the notice for that earlier this month.
Right.
Or last month.
Right. Sorry. And so all I wanted to do with that was to show, like, that news came out yesterday. So this is still relevant. So even though we're discussing about like what the Supremes have done over the last 3 or 4 years, we're still getting victories daily that hit the headlines, and we can show. I mean, there was somebody in Dave's group that had like a certified mail receipt, like with a tracking number. date received, date sent, and the notice that was sent. So here's proof. The judge was served. We serve these notices. We tell people what to do, and they do it. The tough part for people hearing this is that, one, it's hard to see because you've never seen it. And so because that's the case, this is why we hold these spaces. This is why we do what we do, so that,
Hey, I just shared it.
okay.
I just shared it in the
But
purple
that's,
pill.
I mean, this is evangelism, and the fundamental form of evangelism is to glorify God. We can do that by preaching the gospel, but also what we do is we point to the fundamental law, because that's also glorifying Christ and is showing his wisdom. And so God's showing out because when we aim at something, we don't miss. And that's because he's given the victory. So yeah, if you DM me, I'll collect up. I'll get
Okay.
with some people
Yeah,
and
I
collect up
DM'd
the
you
notices.
a little earlier. So,
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If you do that, I'll just ping them to you in like a PDF form or whatever in the thing. And then if hey, no holds bar. If you got any questions or you don't understand why he says what he says when he says it, I'll obviously we can talk offline. We don't. I will not take you public. I will not challenge you publicly anymore, because you've demonstrated
Yeah,
that you're noble.
Marty, it seems like you're a real Negro, Marty. I
Oh,
appreciate
well,
you coming
thank you.
on
Thank you.
because
Oh, dude.
you seem like a real
He just
dude.
Negro'd you. You're in the club, man.
That's
He didn't
awesome.
even
Yeah.
know.
Send us an address. We'll shoot you a watermelon.
Absolutely not sending addresses.
Hey, we give you some collard greens and some rhythm too.
Oh, Marty, good. God bless you.
Oh
Like
boy.
you've been a
Yeah.
good
God
man to
bless you guys
listen
too.
and hear people out.
Good talking to you, big dog. Thank you. Tell your wife thank you for letting you speak too. I know we went a long time. We got another space at 5:15. Clint want to say something. We got Renata in the house. Renata been kicking some anus all over the place. Um, good stuff. I appreciate what she's doing. But go ahead, Big Clint.
Yeah, I'll call you back. I just wanted to ask a question because I think, and I want to say thanks for Marty for being a good sport and coming on. I could tell just from a couple of texts on Twitter yesterday of the three gentlemen that wanted to play hocus pocus with the law a little bit. He was by far the most gentlemanlike in asking questions. So wanted to say thanks for coming on. That's the main thing. And then why, I guess, Marty asked a question earlier, and I think maybe it's important that either Jaron or Dave, you can explain why the Supreme Court is the body or the people that are most, I guess, open to reading and understanding the law. Why is it the Supreme Court are the first ones to come out and tell versus anybody else? So I know,
Well,
you
we
know the
sent
reason
it
I'd
to
rather
them
you
directly. We sent it to them directly on purpose because the Supreme Court is looked at as the highest court in the land, outside of a court of record by a jury of peers. Um, the Supreme Court is known as the place where the judicial power is held in the federal, right? In one Supreme Court. And so people look to them to be able to give knowledge and wisdom, but the most blessed thing about them is that they're historians and they remember and they know very well what happened with the king. So the Supreme Court knows as soon as the people start finding out the law and the truth, they've never been slow in correcting America. So the Supreme Court, as historians, they're not dumb. They're not going to allow their dynasty to fall by allowing bad actors to do things and they take the fall for them. They realize the writing is on the wall. America has flipped. There's too many of us that know what the law is, and we've been sending them notices and affidavits. So they know it's game over. And yeah, the run might have been fun for bad actors, but there's no more room for it, and they're not going to lose their dynasty and their good name over some foolishness with uh, legislative tribunals that's been making money off the people. So that day is up. They know and understand, and they've been consistent at showing that everything flipped. And so the game is over. The jig is up. So that's why we can see that God is blessing us and doing amazing and good things. And God even tells us in the Word in Isaiah, "Don't remember the old things; He'll do a new thing." You know, he's going to make the crooked way straight. And, that's how I deal with life. I understand that God is mighty. He makes the crooked way straight. He makes a river in the wilderness, where you think things are wrong and hard and things are going to be fixed. That's nothing to God. It's a light thing, an easy thing for him to make correction, to fix things, to build you, to make you a monster at whatever he wants you to do. And I believe that he has given some of the strongest and most powerful people in the world to us. And this is why we've been able to get thousands of victories, stop the UAW, stop OSHA, stop the big three, stop mandates, and all these different things. God has given us some great people. So I just want to thank all of you. I know that I'm a nobody. I always say I'm a nobody, nothing Negro from the ghetto. But God is so mighty that he'll take the nobody, he'll take the nothing, he'll take the dude with the ashy elbows, right? And he'll build that person up to show what he can do. So if God can take the worst of the worst, the nothing, the nobody, and make him great, then what can God do with you? Right? That's the kind of God we serve. He'll give you a loser to see him build up so that you can know that you ain't starting from zero. You can be something too. He can do it for you. And so that's what we're witnessing now. We're seeing God renew the people. He's restoring the people. He's doing amazing things. He just let us talk to a beautiful attorney. I thank the gentleman for coming on. Lovely conversation. And I thank all of you guys. We got another space in, let's see, 15 plus 4. So we got another one in 19 minutes.
Why
I'm
why
hungry as
ain't
heck.
Vester coming?
I don't know, man. Vester talking about he was working out. I was trying to take him to a workout, but I don't think he wanted to work out like that. So,
I mean, and that's the other thing is that these attorneys that were dogging everybody, they just got, I don't know how long we've been on here, 2 hours. I don't know how long it's been, but like,
they got a 2 hour head start on what
yeah,
we talk
well, I'm
about.
like, we literally laid out, here's the case. Here's what's going on. Here's what we're going to say. But guess what? They're going to be too prideful. They're not going to repent. They're not going to accept the truth. They're going to suppress the truth because they're unrighteous, and they're going to get destroyed if they ever come live. And they're
Well, the funny thing is that we'll win anyway. Because here's the thing, bro. Wisdom don't need foolishness to verify that it's wisdom. Wisdom wins without foolishness. An ignorant person can sit back and talk stupid all day. It's just like football, bro. If you're good at football and you're a monster, and somebody comes from the other team and they've been talking junk all week and they say, we don't believe you're going to win. Yeah, when I run up the middle of that hole, I guarantee you that you're going to mess around and
yeah,
find
and
out.
and
So it don't
and
matter.
the part that gets me, and just so everyone understands kind of the context that's been leading up to this, I know this is called Space for Michigan Attorney Matthew, so we got to get him too, because that dude's we'll get him too. But where Marty came from was a thread where I was commenting, because what I do is whenever I see a thread or a tweet or whatever, I'll offer help. Hey, I'll talk to you about your rights. Hey, you don't have to be destroyed. You can do this. You can do that. And, I did that to a post that, had been seen a couple million times. And that's how I fish. That's one of my techniques for fishing. That's where I find people to help or bless or preach the gospel, but also here to get in fights. And so these people, these attorneys came out, and I was volunteering to help somebody. So let's be clear. I'm volunteering to help a man whose life has been destroyed, that if he stood on his rights, he would not be destroyed with his issue. And instead of the attorneys offering help to the man like I was, they were too busy to attack me, who was trying to offer help. Now, if you've ever heard of like the picture of like if you have a bucket full of crabs, none of them will ever get out, because as soon as one starts climbing up, all the rest will grab them and pull them back down. This is what's going on. So these attorneys could not suffer a random dude trying to help out a fellow, a neighbor, just as common man. They couldn't suffer that. They could not stomach the fact that someone would help in the law for free and to kill the case. Do not miss that, because from that offer, all these other attorneys started attacking, including what's his face, Vester. And now, I mean, like for days, we've been asking these people, come live, come live, come live. Not a one of them want to do it. Not a one of them want to do it. And they say, well, this is how you make money. I don't make money doing this. I lose a lot of time helping people.
How do attorneys make
Yeah,
money?
and that's my point, bro. That's my point.
Hey, wait. Yo anus don't even know the Constitution of the state, and Yo anus making money.
How are you?
If the dang Constitution is the law, how the freak you don't know the law and sell?
How are you?
You making money as a lawyer?
How are you making money when you don't even know the law? And when someone who does comes and offers help for free, you attack the man. Doesn't that just kind of summarize what's going on? And then after days,
well, wait, but you don't know how to teach a procedure though.
Well, and I'm also not licensed.
Neither are
I'm
they,
also.
What state gave them a license?
Yeah, it's yeah.
I still ain't seen no attorney license yet. That junk is a PMA license. I can make one of those.
Yeah, and so I mean that's
that junk is signed by the bar president. That's a freaking PMA license.
Signed in crayon. And I guess that's the part that gets underneath my skin, because you've got real people that are being destroyed now, and then there's some people that they just won't study. They just won't study.
Hold on, wait, Jared. We go fool around and do a freaking Unispace. We ain't even gonna go to the next place. We just gonna go straight.
Let's just do it. Let's just keep going.
No, then everybody gonna miss the other space. What was the other space supposed to be about?
It was about the victory for the thing we were just talking about at the end.
So you gonna read in the second space?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to. Do you want to like close this one out and then redo that one?
What everybody else thinking? I need some food. I'm hungry than a mother, and I only got like 14 minutes to eat.
You should probably close out and retitle it. That's what I'm thinking. Get some food in you too, man.
No, the other one is already there though.
Okay, all right. So let's do this. Let's do this. I got 7:01. You kick off at 5:15, like 14 minutes.
Yeah, somebody tell that dude in Michigan too, that attorney, that real estate attorney, come get some of this dang action. Matthew Wilk, whatever his name is.
Can we make a condition that if Matthew Wilk shows up, we pause what we're talking about to deal with that business?
Matthew Wilk can get that smoke any day he wanted. I want that law fight with Matthew Wilk.
And Bigger Truth. If Bigger Truth wants to come too, because
he says, man, Bigger Truth is a clown, bro. He's a dude.
So
get like
Wilk.
30. He get 30 views on some junk.
Did you hear the Wilk guy? He's like,
he tried to act like he's teaching.
He's gonna go to jail is what's gonna happen.
Dang, tell him to get in line with everybody else who said that same dumb junk since 2017.
Yeah, 18. I mean, and think, yeah. So anyway, because we're just gonna riff, but I mean, think about
Arizona
these clowns.
Got to the point now they like, you could have your own law firm, not being an attorney, because they know what the freak is up. They know what's up.
And think about but think about it like this. They, instead of knowing the law and instead of coming live and shredding us, I'm just a dude wearing overalls and a beard on a tractor. I'm always on a tractor in overalls. I'm just perpetually driving around on a tractor.
I'm sitting up here. I just got out the shower. I'm sitting up in my boxers and some flip flops.
So I'm out here farming and you're just chilling. And instead of these guys coming and showing and telling us that we're wrong, all they do is lurk in the comments and say, he just admitted to practicing without a license.
I ain't practicing. I keep telling them I'm not practicing. Dude,
but they won't. But you don't, Dave, that's not their talking point, bro. They're not going to use not their talking points. That's all they know. It's like their bar. It's their bar issued talking points. Now that you're an attorney, here's your crayon colored bar card. And you need to tell people that they're practicing without a license when they're not part of our club. Man. And so whenever someone's not part of their club, they say, oh, look at this guy. He's practicing without a license. One of these jokers was even like, you're not even an attorney. I was like, yeah.
Amen.
Of course not.
That's why I tell the truth.
Yeah, that's why I know the law.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, it's 7:04, 5:04 your time, 11 minutes. Eat. Let's regroup. And we'll do the space that you got, and I'll read whatever it is that we got to read.
Hey, wait. Can I ask a question, though? A serious question?
Yes,
and this is real serious, y'all. Please don't laugh at me. But let's say if we got the 5:15 webinar and I'm getting ready to eat some food,
Are you going to
Um,
talk to me about colored people time?
yeah, I was gonna say if I'm like a brother and I come in and I'm late, if I'm late to my own webinar like that dude Scott was, hey, he had that dude Scott McMahon so messed up. He's worried, trying to figure out how to destroy us. I gotta destroy him, right? Dude was so messed up after we did his space. Dude came late to his own space. I said, this dude, he was 8 minutes late. I didn't even watch the junk. Somebody called me and told me, oh, he 8 minutes late. He drifted. Dude had to get his makeup together. He fell out of character. He's like, man, these Negroes that whoop my behind with the law. He's like, I thought y'all told us we supposed to punish these conservative people and make them look bad, and they got a whole crew of people who actually listen.
Sir, our insults don't work. They don't
Hey,
care.
yeah, how we gonna fake? How we gonna fake like we're in charge when they really got grassroots? The
Yeah,
people really deal with them.
none of the. They don't believe me. They don't believe me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you want to do what, like 7:30?
no, we gonna go 5:15. Hey,
All right.
we call him a Maoist, and he laughed and doubled down.
Yeah. You know you're dumb whenever you start saying you sound like a Maoist. You're a communist. All right, dude.
No,
Like you're.
this dude, I ain't never heard nothing like this. This how you know he's one of those like liberals working with deep state actors who really Democrats. Dude said, what's that book called? He quoted, not Laws of Power, some dumb job. He said, you're using what was it?
Saul Alinsky's Rules
Oh
for
yeah,
Radicals.
you're using Saul Alinsky number 5 and 13. This dude quoted a number like it was a Bible verse. That's what I
Yeah.
do. I said, bro, real conservatives don't quote junk like that. You sound like a
Yeah.
freaking clown. You're a
Yeah,
dirtbag.
I'll quote the Bible. Like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna book
dude,
chapter.
I don't even read books like this. This dude quoted that junk, said, you're using tactic 5 and 13. I said, yeah,
Dude, did you
this
know
Negro's a Satanist.
Saul Alinsky dedicated that book to Lucifer?
Yes, he's a Satanist. So I
Yeah.
said, that's what I said. This dude is a Satanist. He reads it, knows the tactics, and he tries to project it like the left does. But see, he don't understand he's in a new type of conservative party that's like the old, right?
Yeah.
The conservatives now, since we've been studying the law, we're like the old conservatives. That's like, dude, screw what you talking about. You can't shame me into letting go my estate, right? The
Yeah,
old
we like to fight.
conservatives the old conservatives back in the day would say the Constitution says this, like Abraham Lincoln. The law says this. The Constitution says this. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do this to people, right? And then
Yes.
when they try to dog them or write news articles about them, Abraham Lincoln didn't give a freak. Now we got this dude coming to talk about, yeah, you're a Stalinist, xenophobe Christian radical, and I'm like, looking side to side. Hey,
Yeah.
like those memes, you sitting there like he ain't ready with the mic, looking side to side, like what the freak
Yeah.
this dude talking about?
I'm gonna give this dude side eye because he's just a moron.
He's
You're
a clown
dumb.
show, but he's
Yeah.
making them look bad. And the thing is he's bringing people's name into it. And I'm pretty sure that he's working for a couple of leftists in Arizona and in Michigan that needed to get into office. So they need to get the people to slow us down because we were bringing heat to them so much by showing that they don't know the law, they're not doing what's right, they're not caring about elections, that they just needed somebody to connect everybody to it. He seemed to be the fall guy.
Did you see that where he's done like Bible studies that had like 2 views?
Bro, I was like, shucks, dude. Like you could, dude, I can go to the freaking park with nobody there and get more than 2 views on the Bible study. This is stupid. Like he's not trying, dude. Like it seems like he's just been a failure forever.
That's just it. He is trying. He's not real. He's fake. He's
Yeah, he's very fake.
he's a fake, fraudulent, propped up schmuck.
Yeah,
And he's
notice he
trying
came
to.
out of nowhere and people just share the articles and people think it's like,
Yeah.
so some of the Republicans get worried about somebody sharing an article about them. I'm like, dude, I don't give a, why the freak ain't he with CNN or something? They know they have nobody who they can use to share an article that conservatives would believe in. So then they prop up an alternative clown and everybody should just clown this dude while he got 30, 50, 100 views because this clown is a clown, right? Don't even let this dude open the door with this clown show stuff.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, yo, homie, I said, what have you done to help the people? I'm like, I said, look, dude, you're just talking crazy. I said, come debate me. He said, well, I'll debate you if I can choose the debate person and it be a scholar, a parliamentary scholar that I agree with, and blah, 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 blah. Then I'll debate you if it's on a specific time and they can mute you if they don't like what you say or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, dude, I'll give you everything you want. I said, just show me for the last 2 years where you've been helping we the people, where you've been teaching them the law, where you've been trying to help them to get free. If you can do that, I'll give you the debate you want. Then he
Yeah.
said, well, you can't show you're credible by what you do. I said,
Who is he?
Jesus.
Who is he to determine credibility?
Bro,
Who is he? And
your
it's like,
your credibility is based off of what you do. If you
yeah,
let's just
you
take
will know them
good,
by their fruit.
yes, let's just take good credit, right? Good credit. You know somebody got good credit if they pay you back, right? Let's just take if we're in a football field together and you're on one side of the field, I'm on the other side of the field. How do I know your credibility? I know if you make tackles on your side of the field and you can secure that side, that I can trust going hard on the other side, right? It's what you do. You don't get to say, well, I want to show who the real fighters are. First of all, if you're going to show who the real fighters are, you will be a good judge if you fight.
Yeah, and real fighters don't concern themselves with, hey, who else is a real fighter? No, you
Yeah,
just fight.
yeah. It's
It's like
stupid.
it's like like I showed you that clip from the movie The Town when it's
Mm-hmm.
like Ben Affleck comes in, he's like, I can't tell you what's going on. We're never going to talk about it again, but we're going to hurt people. And his buddy was like, whose car are we taking? It's like,
Yep,
whose car are we taking? It's like,
yep,
hey, go get this guy. All right, sweet.
yep.
What
Let's
emoji
get
do
that
I
action
use?
in.
Do I use the
All right,
raccoon
so John,
emoji or what?
I'm gonna end this. Long raccoon. All right, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end this space, and
You
then
going to be there
I'll
in 4
open up
minutes?
the other space in like 3.5 minutes if the Lord wills, and then I'm gonna let you talk so I can eat some food. But what we're going to
Okay.
discuss, guys, is what happened. So, Jaron, you already know what happened with this stuff anyway. So, there's no reason that I need to talk. People get tired of hearing my little light Mike Tyson voice anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll be there and I'll do stuff and
It's a,
we'll have a grand old time. And if what's his face attorneys show up, then we'll have even more fun.
it's a catastrophe. All right, cool.
All
All
right.
right,
See ya.
we'll give it y'all soon. Peace.